Hey everybody, and welcome to the Overwatch Gamestop Match Arena Proving Grounds, the community one. We're all here, and it's been a while, but I'm Lemon Kiwi, and that's T-Rex, and we're going to be bringing you some awesome Tier 2 Overwatch action.
Yeah, really excited to get into this, and we can take a quick look at the bracket before we even get started. Want to give you guys a little update on what's been going down so far in the top, I guess it's 8 here that happened since the quarterfinals. We see Bermuda, they kind of worked their way through, had a couple of moments, I think, but back in their quarterfinal, they had to go to a game 5 against Jeff Ron's. You can see how there's a lot of really solid teams in this tournament, a lot of parity going on here, even against teams that are in contenders as well. Really had to work their way through this one. Bermuda, Grunto, they're going to be in the grand final. You'll see that in a bit. However, the first place match that we're going to play out today is that third place match. You'll see them Triumph Academy versus Winnable.
Yeah, we'll be starting with that third place match. Triumph Academy, the Academy of Triumph, and Winnable, maybe consisting of a lot of players maybe people haven't discovered yet, let's say, in the Tier 3 scene. Super excited to see what this team is made of. Winnable, which, by the way, is managed by one of my good friends, Uspin. Shout out to her. And there's some names like Russian Cows. You got Momentum. You got Bubbles. Josiah, Ryder, a ton of players that have so many thousands of hours of experience in Tier 3 and get to have their stage and have to have the spotlight on them here today.
Yeah, so to take a look at Winnable here, as you were just mentioning them, really solid team here. A lot of great talent. You talked about some of the players here, but certainly a couple of names that maybe some people might know. Someone that you may have heard of is Ford. Played in a few LCS qualifiers back in the day. Was on a few good teams for that game. However, now moving into Overwatch, looking to make a name for himself here, and is trying to do that, and could certainly do a very good job of that if he does well in this tournament.
Yeah, and there's a couple of young players too. I'm seeing Momentum and Bubbles and a few subs that are 14 years old. Damn, I didn't even own my first computer till I was like 18. So it's really cool to see these young players have a chance. Let's take a look at our next team here, Triumph Academy. So we pull up the roster, and we had to go through some pronunciation, jumping through a few hoops to figure this one out. I think we nailed it. Of Shidenotori.
Shidenotori is how I'm
damn it. I
pretty
still
sure.
Can't say
I'm
it.
convinced it's that. We also had the other one, Sausmua, which is actually, if you guys have followed the Tier 3 scene, especially beginning of this year, end of last year, you may have heard of a player named Fika, a Canadian player that plays that flex tank role. Well, that's him. He's actually going to be playing on Fika to make it easier on us to make sure that we're able to get his name right this time around. But yeah, this is Fika actually in place of Sausmua. Same person, different name. That's all that is. Other than that, you may have seen a couple of these names here. Enke, Baboon, specifically, those two are probably names that you would have seen at some point today, or rather, some point in the past. And Kabooms as well might be one that you might know as well. Played for SMC NA, not EU, but NA.
That was funny. Remember when SMC, NA, and EU faced off? Good times. We're going into our first map here, Busan, that has been chosen. Better C gets to pick that. Loser picks the rest of the maps. It is a best of 5. Let's get into this in our first map here on Mecha Base. Just to remind, this is the third place match between Winnable and Triumph Academy. Third place will be fighting for $500, and we'll have the grand finals up next. Out the doors, though, let's take a look. We got the Sombra 3-2-1 from Winnable and Triumph Academy with your Vanilla 3-3.
And you can see Ford already trying to get a flank forced out. Now it's a 5v6 until Ford gets back in. So you can see the aggression coming in, and Winnable losing a couple members. Oh, actually, other way around.
Yeah, Triumph Academy got severely antied at the beginning, and that was painful. Winnable had a lot of pressure on them. Mainly the shield is broken. Now they get to rotate, take the point.
And interesting, too, because you saw that the focus actually got placed onto Ford initially, forced Ford out as he tried to take an off angle to get a hack off. And then 5v6 disadvantage to Winnable, and still somehow they're able to come out. And it was actually from a huge biotic grenade that came out from Russian Cows to enable them to be able to swing that fight back in their favor despite the man disadvantage.
Well, Winnable already have a nano. Russian Cows is going to want to give that to Bowie. He gets kind of low. He gets that armor pack, and now there's Bowie. He's going to be going in against the other Reinhardt. The main front line of Triumph Academy separated from the rest, able to join back, but too little too late. That will be Winnable taking another fight.
Now we'll have to see how they get this ult rotation flowing here, because that's the danger of this type of composition, is once you get that ult rotation going, especially with this Sombra in play, it becomes so difficult to break through if you're the opposing team. Ford now holding onto that EMP. They've got Soundberry coming up. You can see Shiden Hattori, he doesn't have his ready, so they don't really have a solid answer outside of this Transcendence. So Kabooms has to play this smart in order to line of sight away from this EMP.
And Ford's gonna be looking for it. Already translocates in, gets most of Triumph Academy, but you pointed out, did not get Kabooms. Transcendence comes out, but here's plan B from Winnable. There's Carry with the grab, and again, fight after fight for Winnable. And it seems very winnable in this case. Triumph now, they have ultimates of their own, just missing the Transcendence, and hopefully this will be where they can turn it around, or I don't know if they will.
Have to get the grab down here, have to make sure that they can get the cleave off through it too, because they know that they have to go through a sound barrier from momentum to be able to get this fight win, and they have to get it here. It's all or nothing for them now.
Grab from Triumph Academy. They sustain with the barrier. They want to go in with the rally, but Winnable counter with their own support ultimates, mirroring the exact same thing. Doesn't seem like much has dropped except the hammer from Baboon. Triumph Academy going for a back cap. Now, do Winnable force back towards the point, or do they keep fighting? Now, losing one of their main supports, Winnable will be lacking in the resource department and a Reinhardt. As in overtime, Winnable starting to lose quite a few members. Triumph Academy will get that flip just in time.
You'll see Winnable drop out of the fight quickly to try to get away from it. Try not to give too much ult charge over to Triumph Academy. You can see how Ford is going to try to get aggressive here, as he got up pretty early after dying off, just as early. Now he has time to build into his EMP. That's going to be, or just die out initially there. Fika with a great kill, had the help with the Discord Orb, and I think one shot from the Zen as well to eliminate the Sombra player and deny him the ability to generate that ult that he needs to have for his team.
Winnable have plenty of time, and Ford will be able to get back, work on that EMP, which will be the winning condition for them. They might just start off with the grab and waiting for the Sombra player to maybe get more information as to where Triumph Academy are. They start to break through the doors. Carry will be leading the way here with the grab, forcing already Triumph Academy back. Here's the grab. Triumph Academy use that Transcendence, but they're antied. A great play from Russian Cows. This denies some of that healing, but Triumph Academy don't fall yet. EMP follows up from Winnable, along with the Shatter from Bowie, and that's enough to really hinder the supports and Triumph Academy, as Winnable not only take the point, but should take the map unless Triumph Academy can get back quick enough.
That was simple economy, input, output for Winnable. Input, grab, output, Transcendence, input, EMP, output, 6 kills in a row. Now Winnable only have to cleave down whoever can get onto the point, and they'll win this first round here on Busan Mecha Base and move into the second with that advantage early on.
Yeah, pretty clean, 100 to 62. I think we saw 2 grabs out of Winnable, only 1 from Triumph. And it seems that they had 2 winning conditions, right? They either worked around the EMP, they worked around the grab. Triumph Academy, when they did use ults, they were countered almost equally in economy from Winnable. So even in those fights you thought Triumph had an advantage, it was countered. But now we'll be going here to downtown and see maybe some sniper play can help Triumph Academy.
Arbin going to be on the Widowmaker for now. We'll have to see if this 3 DPS comp is going to work out in their favor. We've seen a lot of this actually lately. A lot of this 3 DPS look. And this could actually wind up really benefiting Triumph Academy as we look to see if they can even the odds here in this first map of Busan. But something to make note of is Winnable still bringing out that Sombra, as it looks like they might make an adjustment here. Ford actually went back, and you can see all the changes that they might be making. Instead, it's Carry Hap actually bringing out these Sombra. So they still have that Sombra available, the hack available for Baboon, as well as Shiden Tori and Kobe if they need to be able to pull those guys out of the sky as well.
Yeah, Winnable changing up their Sombra players, but someone has to contest that Widow, because all Carbon has to do to shut down this fight is find a shot onto Russian Cows, that main healer for Winnable. But now it's the tanks kind of doing their own battles. You see Bowie on one side harassing Carbon. You're seeing the diva of Ford protect the supports. Meanwhile, Triumph Academy are able to get a kill on the point. So meanwhile, this fight does extend. They will benefit from it. As they disengage as a group, now they're going to try and fight off Winnable.
Surrounding them, which is odd because the 3 DPS comp should be the one surrounding the point and getting control. Winnable, though, getting that early kill onto Baboon. really made Triumph Academy struggle here. So Triumph Academy, they're going to have to make sure that they have the ability to make use of Baboon distracting them on this Hammond pick, but even still, Baboon's going to have a tough time trying to pull that off, given the fact that there's Sleep Dart, there's Organic Stun, they have the hack as well. So many different options to shut down this Hammond player as Baboon tries to dive in and make some room, create some space for his team.
Great EMP from Winnable, gets 3 or 4 from Triumph Academy, but Kabooms gives the Nano over. Kobe with the barrage, gets a few for them. And now they need to make their way to the point, take that right back. They're going to be leading here with a Hammond of Baboon. And EMP to EMP, you might see like Triumph Academy get more success because due to the composition of Winnable, they're going to be playing more grouped up. So you could see maybe more success coming out of Fika in the next fight when he does use it.
And this is where Triumph Academy should play well. Once they have control of this point, they can play off the high ground and make it very difficult for players like Bowie to try to actually force the envelope a little bit. You know, push forward, be aggressive, try to shove them back. As that happens, you can see the rotations coming out from Triumph Academy to pull him around and actually scatter him about a little bit, allow them to isolate him, get that kill on the main tank, and then slowly win the fight from there.
Yeah, denying the high ground for the moment. Self-destruct at the back from 4 just to disperse, but catches Kobe as he was trying to concuss himself away. Meanwhile, there was mine set in the main corridor, which takes out 2 of the supports. Carbon with the other double kill. Triumph Academy really working this DPS composition perfectly now that they can play it on the defense and they can play a little safer too.
And the other thing too here is that when the fight does break down, when it devolves, we'll see this go into a little bit of a brawl, and Triumph Academy actually should do quite well in that department. They have so much burst pressure that, you know, once it devolves, they'll be able to start getting kills pretty easily, whereas a lot of these other characters need a little bit more assistance.
I think that Nano was given over to Bowie, but he didn't get antied, so couldn't be as aggressive as he wanted, but they're just focusing on getting that point pressure back. Although they're losing members, they couldn't help Russian cows to the point, which exposed into the DPS of Triumph. So now without a big source of healing and more, Winnable, although they got a point and a few percentage points, they will give it up right away.
Still see control going back over to Triumph Academy, building into their ultimates. That's where they're most dangerous, but EMP coming up soon for Carry Happa. The only issue here, though, is that when you do pull that EMP, you have to make sure that you get that Mercy. That's going to be the priority target here. Pull that player out of the sky, get the kill as soon as you possibly can. Otherwise, you're really not going to get too much value out of that ultimate.
Last chance for Winnable to get back this point, and they almost flip it over, focusing more on the objective this time. But they walk right into the EMP of Fika, and there is the barrage from Kobe right over the top, and it gets the 3K, exactly what they needed. And meanwhile, Carbon's silently finding picks into the back, so Winnable focus more on the objective instead of the kills. Now Triumph Academy should walk away with this point and send us into a 3rd round.
We'll be moving on to that final round here of Busan as it does get tied up, and interestingly enough, again, that 3 DPS comp was working out, and you can tell that, you know, obviously beyond Overwatch League and into contenders, we're seeing a lot of different variations compositionally, right? I mean, it seemed like we saw a lot of goats over the past year. Well, things have adjusted a little bit, and if you're just watching this and you haven't seen too much competitive Overwatch recently, well, this is what we've been seeing a lot of recently. I mean, you see a lot of Sombra based compositions, maybe even variations of the old typical 3-3 that you saw with that 2 tank, 1 DPS, 3 support, now kind of entering the fray a little bit more often than you would see probably those 3-3s even at this point. And also a lot of this triple DPS, and then once again Triumph Academy pulling that out here. And on the other end, Carry Happa back on the Sombra. We're going to be seeing the Genji brought back in, and now we have that opportunity for the EMP Nanoblade for Winnable.
Yeah, this is good. Winnable, though, they did win that first round because of the Sombra 3-2-1, so giving up one winning condition to replace it with another of the Blade. Triumph Academy won their round running this exact comp. And maybe not starting out so hot, losing one of your tanks, but the true success of the DPS is finding those picks on the back of Carbon, on the back of Kobe, following up with one another. So as long as they just actually contest Carbon, which they're doing just that, Winnable should be able to take this round.
Yeah, the thing here is that there's more pressure on that front line. Also, given the sight lines that we see Carbon taking here, there's not much opportunity for him to go up into the high ground and become a huge threat against players like Bowie Organic, who have to really rotate very deep into the enemy territory to try to get any pressure onto him. So you can see Carbon actually just realizing this. He pulls off of that particular pick. He goes over to the Tracer. He's going to have a lot more value here because he can put pressure onto Russian Cows in the backline on the Ana.
So Nano given over to the Monkey, who's sleeping on the job. So unfortunate, but winnable. Are going to try and win nonetheless. But with their main tank missing, there's a lot more pressure coming down to the DPS and the supports. Carry and Russian Cows are missing at the start of the fight. They still use the barrier, thinking maybe not only is it winnable, but they want to extend this lead that they do have. Triumph Academy using their EMP to hopefully clean this fight up as quickly as they can, but not over yet because now you have a Primal. As long as Bowie stays on the point, they can get a lot of time out of this.
They just need to get a kill in their favor if they can, just to try to delay this even further, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case unless we could see Organic coming back through and getting some kind of godlike blade, but I don't see that happening as we are seeing the kills coming on for Triumph Academy here, and they're going to get the flip as well. But Lemon, seems like this change has actually kind of worked out very much in favor of Triumph Academy moving over to the Tracer. Now they have the ability to solidify kills that is coming from, you know, softened targets from Kobe on the Pharah. So a little bit more synergy this way as well, and we can see second pulse bomb almost up for Carbon already.
And also Carry going to the McCree to dual Carbon. I like these adaptations from both these teams.
And Kobe.
But now...
And Fika.
A lot of changes happening.
And Baboon.
But what you want to keep your eye on is winnable with this blade. Actually, he can't use it quite yet. The EMP is going to come down from Fika, and a little bit of justice from the sky. Kobe has been fantastic on the far thus far. So Triumph Academy have gotten enough picks, so they will try and even up this score, and winnable will be coming back with vengeance.
So these 3 DPS compositions, so dangerous when you give them control, and that's exactly what Triumph Academy has right now, although that could easily go the other way soon here. Winnable with that blade ready to go with the nano boost in conjunction with it. Russian Cows and Organic going to combine for that combination that could allow them to just slice through these DPS members, you know, quick one shots onto basically everybody for Triumph Academy if it's not shut down, if he's not hacked or dealt with some other way.
But they also have to, Winnable have to play a bit slower with a McCree on their team, right? It's not like a Sombra that can pounce in with the rest of the team. Organic's still gonna have the blade, but now they have to deal with the nano from Triumph Academy just used. He's still gonna go for the blade up into the sky. He wants that far so bad, but can't get it too high up. And now because of that, he spent so much time looking for that kill, he couldn't get anything else. But now the backline is exposed of Triumph Academy. Winnable are gonna even up the score. Self-destruct. It's going to make even more space for Winnable, and Triumph Academy, they either have to reset now or they have to try and take this back because that score is getting pretty close.
They needed more value from the Nano Blade. Now it's going to be a brawl to get this secured for them, and Kabooms with a great nade defensively to deal with the Genji diving on top of him. Looks like this actually could work out for the team in red, Triumph Academy.
Oh, Winnable only have a Lucio left. Triumph Academy working perfect cohesion to take it back. There's still some time for Winnable to make something happen. You got a Deadeye, you got a barrier, and they're still making swaps. Bowie needs to get this primal too.
Carbon here as well on the Tracer, getting ready to dive, getting ready to go back into the backline. Momentum has the sound barrier. They need to make sure that they can help carry Happa, get some value out of this Deadeye. Need some kills.
Yeah, giving him the barrier to make sure he survives too. They do get the flip. There's the barrage from the sky. Right into the barrier. They're able to counter that perfectly. 99-99. Triumph Academy have lost so much. They're still fighting. Kabooms is like 1 HP. Gives the nano to Fika. One last EMP hurrah. You got the Hammond trying to follow up with it, but Winnable are actually starting to lose their own members. Now that Russian Cows is out, there's not a lot of healing left except a Lucio. Thankfully, they get the kills. They get the flip. They get the win. It will be 2-1 for Winnable.
And that's the 1-0 lead for them as well. Remember, this is a best of 5 here, so 1-0 advantage already to Winnable as we move on into the next map pretty shortly here. But Triumph Academy brought out that triple DPS comp, looked a lot better, I would say, on the triple DPS as compared to what we saw initially from them on Mecha Base. But certainly once we saw Carbon actually onto the Tracer, I think that was even better. These flanks are working out really well for Triumph Academy when they can set that up. Kobe has basically all the time and space that he needs in the world to be able to soften some of these guys up from winnable and allow Carbon to go through and just finish those kills off.
I mean, that last fight, whew, it really relied on who was going to get the Ana first. As soon as Russian Kalista died, it looked a little bit grim for winnable. But I felt like Triumph Academy with their DPS, yes, it looked strong, but it looked stronger when they were playing on the defense. When you remember on Downtown, the reason they won is because they got that fight win at the beginning and were able to hold it for so long because winnable kept focusing on the objective instead of picking off the DPS. So that's where it's the way you play against the DPS that's going to matter. As map 2 will be, I believe it will be hybrid. And I think we...
It looks like Rialto, looks like.
That's not a hybrid map.
Nope.
Unless something about the rules I don't know about. But yeah, from what my knowledge is, it's going to be control, hybrid, escort, assault, and control. So we will figure out Triumph Academy. Since they lost that first map, they will get to pick.
So we'll have to wait on what map they want to go for. So it looks like King's Row instead being swapped to for this map here. And what this tells me is that we're going to see Triumph Academy maybe forcing the 3-2-1, if I'm not mistaken. The Sombra Goats composition, I would imagine, is the case here, which again is kind of interesting given the fact that Triumph Academy was so strong when they were allowed to play dive, when they were allowed to play flanks. That's when, in my mind, they looked quite solid. But winnable, on the other hand, it looks like we need to swap team sides as well, but that's not going to happen. So that might just be wrong, and that's not our fault. So we're sorry about that, but yeah, it looks like that's going to be the case.
As long as the names are right. I think we can cross our fingers because I think, oh wait, no, the team names are wrong.
Yeah, the team names are wrong.
Oh, unlucky.
There's no
I guess
fixing
we just have to put...
There's no fixing it.
Well, this is what happens when players host lobbies, but I think whoever was hosting lobby left. But that's okay.
Yep.
So if you see the winner on the screen, it's in fact opposite day, starting now. So Triumph Academy, I believe, will be on the defense, and Winnable will be on the offense.
Yeah, that is indeed the case. So had to do the mental math at this point to try to
the gymnastics.
Yeah, this is where I know you do like the post-it notes thing. This is where this comes in clutch. You know, this is the moment where that actually shines. I never do that, but maybe I should at this point. But either way, we'll be starting things off here, and this was Triumph Academy's pick, so they're instead actually going to be going for the Clockwork Vendetta comp, it looks like, at least out of the gate, and they're going to go for the version that employs a solo support. We've seen quite a bit of this, I would say, recently. This is a composition that worked out well for a couple of teams, I'll say, in this tournament running through the bracket, and we'll leave those unnamed at the moment. However, this particular composition, I think it suffice to say, is a very strong composition, works out really well, defense and attack. And we'll see Triumph Academy, this is already going to get confusing. The Triumph Academy on defense here, despite what you see above their player names in the bottom left, going to be on defense, utilizing this composition without the Maid, though. So this isn't technically the Clockwork Vendetta core that you're used to seeing, but certainly this can get the job done.
Yeah, you don't get that slow of the Blizzard or anything, but still a ton more damage can be coming out from this composition. The solo support of the Baptiste also giving them an extra life. Yes, it's not a Mercy. You don't have that forgiveness of the Resurrect, but you have that immortality field, which maybe could be more powerful against a Sombra composition that they were maybe expecting. But winnable, are they still going to stick with this DPS? It doesn't look like it's really piercing through the shields or the defenses at the moment. So some swaps being made back to the double sniper, now with an Ashe.
Another thing here too is that the Baptiste also gets the benefit of the AoE healing uptime, and then on top of that, because he's healing everybody by himself, he's going to be able to get his amplification matrix basically every single fight. So that allows them to have a ton of shield break, a lot of shield pressure, and especially against something like a Reinhardt, that can have a really, really tough effect onto Bowie specifically to try to deal with that.
Ooh, Reinhardt into this. They have to close that distance before Bowie's shield breaks, and you see he's doing just that, but so much damage comes out of Triumph Academy. If Carry and Ford cannot mitigate this for him, that's going to be easy shield break, easy cleaning for Triumph Academy, who are holding for the moment. But because Winnable maybe have accumulated some energy, they're trying to see if that was still winnable without their Reinhardt, but not going to be the case. As a quick dragon into the back from Kobe, although Winnable were disengaging.
Still so much healing. You can see Kaboom's just so close to yet another Amp Matrix here as he's just throwing out the heals and still kills working out for them.
Oh, nice Amp Matrix into the back, and even the Supercharger. So a lot extra damage from Triumph Academy after what they're running already. And Winnable still on their Rhine 3-3. And Triumph Academy with the self-destruct could also make a ton of space, so it's going to be tough for Winnable to extend these fights, but they have some support ultimates coming up, so this is going to be important.
Backing up, but now we see the Molten Core available, and that's an ultimate to use as soon as this Transcendence does indeed go down.
What an aggressive Transcendence, too, using it to just take the space, which is so important, to just deny that setup from Triumph Academy. Getting that second tick, Triumph Academy missing that Molten Core. We would have loved to seen that happen for the point. Not even a self-destruct could have gone off. They didn't use anything to really retake, and Winnable, just on the back of a Transcendence, really took that.
Utilize the Transcendence, utilize the Rally. That's, yeah, again, virtually pretty much all they had to use, just those two ultimates, just to kind of run over that bunker composition. Winnable just didn't have the necessary ultimates that they needed in that moment to force the pressure out and kind of force Triumph Academy back. So an aggressive push early, reinforced by a lot of healing, worked out in their favor, and no Ana to prevent that. So Winnable going to be having to hold down this second phase of the map here in the streak phase. This is actually going to look really good for them, though, with this competition.
Ford? Well, Kobe got a 3K, but that bomb was almost hooked into his team. Not sure if calculated, but Winnable now losing that space they've been working towards with the Molten Core, and well, all the Qs actually pressed from Triumph Academy, who will take back their defense.
That's another thing, too. I mean, going against a Diva, you see that self-destruct go off, and the Immortality Field from Kaboom's actually saved virtually everyone on Winnable's side's life. I mean, almost everybody got saved by that Immortality Field, so really, really clutch stuff coming in from that Baptiste again.
There's the grab from the attacking team. Self-destruct and defense from Triumph Academy still finds Organic, and Bowie's shield is low. Having to use that barrier to make sure they can take back this fight. What a shatter! Gets a few down from Triumph Academy. No Immortality Field, not a ton of healing when you only run one support. The guy's gun is just exhausted from healing. Everyone taking so much damage. That payload will go forward. A bit of a last-minute dragon. Maybe it's a Swaparoo dragon. But Kobe is still trying to contest the cart with his friends. They want to touch it one last time, but they also don't want to get staggered.
Winnable definitely has a strength here in the 3-3 composition. You see that being something of basically exposing, I would say, Triumph Academy a little bit here by just running this down and having a lot of value out of every single ultimate that they use, especially these Gravitons, throwing everybody in, pulling them all together and getting the kills quite easily, especially as they can focus those DPS players down. And of course, we're seeing Ford do quite a great job as well.
That was a nice wall from the defense, just seeing Pika swap to that. This is going to be good, especially on this point. See how narrow the hallways are. Can maybe still squeeze around the walls, but you can see that Pika just separating the Reinhardt away will be enough to get that fight win for them.
This is something that I wish they had the Mei for a little bit earlier, maybe even playing into the Torb on point A as well, you know, still having Shidinatory on that. But even this composition here is going to be pretty solid for them. They're going to have a ton of shield break. They're going to have the ability to have that wall for that artificial isolation. Not only that, but also have the blizzard, the basically just forcing the 3-3 comp to play slow.
That's a dangerous place to put that dragon. Winnable had to use Transcendence to get out of there. Now they're using everything, a grab, a shatter. But Triumph Academy were able to hold on using the Supercharger and even a wall to protect themselves. Ford still finds some space into the backline with that self-destruct. Winnable can now move forward after a few kills, but they've exhausted so much. This is going to be hard to push the most difficult parts of King's Row without really anything.
Still, you have to be a little bit worried about the biotic grenade. Shinatori is so close to the nano here as he's already gotten a little bit of value off of that ability. As he rotates around to the side, you can see he's setting up for the purple. This is going to be a big one if he lands it.
Well, Momentum also needs to stay alive to have this barrier if they want to survive maybe the Blizzard coming up. But there's that anti. The barrier is already used for Momentum. The Blizzard maybe separates Bowie away from the rest of the team. He still charges out, and now they've pinned the front line of Triumph Academy against the wall. This is surely going to be a cap for Winnable with some pretty decent time, unless Triumph Academy can keep contesting. The answer is no. I think there was a minute 20 on the clock, which is still impressive when they only really went in with a barrier.
Yeah, quite a bit of time, and you can see again just the composure that this team has on the 3-3, and Winnable looking very solid in that type of composition. Even when we saw them in a mirror, it looked pretty solid. I mean, that's how they got that first round under their belt, is they were solid in the 3-3 mirror initially. So if they can kind of continue that, they actually might do quite well on a map type, specifically a map type like King's Row. I mean, this is built for their composition, and this is a great way for them to try to turn things back around.
I didn't really care for, I wouldn't give an A+ to that Blizzard we saw on the defense from Triumph Academy. I mean, it was only really used to try and catch Bowie, which I think he was still unfrozen in the mini pack room. And so to try and guarantee that kill, which would have been nice to win that against Winnable, but maybe would have been best on the card just to command that space for the defense, give yourself some breathing room, because that Blizzard, other than trying to get Bowie, didn't have much value.
On top of that, would have liked to see, I mean, we saw such a great flank coming out initially from Shinatori, coming out and then getting a sleep dart off, and then not actually trying to go for one of those quick picks where you land the nade, have your team dive in a little bit, put some pressure down, get the high ground control if you can from Hanzo shooting into their back, so that you can kind of surround them a bit, utilizing all the different angles that you can take in that final phase at the final point. But outside of that, they got the sleep dart off, and then I think just kind of woke him back up almost immediately because he got re-involved in the fight pretty quickly. But either way, I mean, a minute 22, a solid time, but a beatable time if you are a fan of Triumph Academy here as they're starting off on their attack. And it all starts here, and they've got that Clockwork Vendetta comp this time around, incorporating all the pieces except for the Torb, as Shinatori instead going to be on the Hog and Carbon on the Widow.
Yeah, but Triumph Academy have more shields, right? They have not only the Mei that can provide a wall, almost like a pseudo shield, but Baboon, also on the Orisa, can regenerate that. He's not going to be going for the Reinhardt, so it will take some time for them to close that gap, and Baboon just walks right up to the other Orisa, and with the combination of Fika slowing him down, Triumph Academy just easily take that point. It's well played.
A real quick take, and we move into the streets phase of this map, and you can see a swap actually being made forward. Interestingly, going over to the Soldier 76, and what this says to me is that either A, they want to take off angles and just force pressure into the back of that shield, or B, they want to utilize this for extra shield break so that they can win the shield break battle despite being down a Roadhog. I mean, still though, with the Soldier 76 and the Hanzo, you should be able to out-duel in the shield pressure game, but it's still a little bit closer. I would like to see carry happen, maybe if they're going to all in for that, maybe get off the Widow and go for a Hog or something like that, so that they can really force that issue.
Because these holds, yeah, maybe trying to open up and pick for the snipers, but I really like the hook to just guarantee that kill. Because then you gotta hope who's gonna be the better sniper. As Triumph Academy just uncontested, moving this cart forward until Ford finds Fika, and there's Dragon to Dragon. Baboon is still on the cart. Now getting some help from the rest of his team, but Triumph Academy are 3 down. They use the Immortality Field already. Winnable have the high ground position, so they're just in full control, so Triumph Academy are gonna try and get out.
The shield break working out, at least at the start here, for Winnable as they defend this second push effectively, the second fight for this attack. And you can see them getting these off angles a little bit as Carry Hap actually going to go over to the Ash pick, and that's actually a clever pick as well, because while it may not be the best for shield break, as you're going to have really long reload time windows after shield breaking, you can actually put a ton of pressure behind it with the dynamite and focus a lot on getting those backline kills early in the fight.
And that Amp Matrix just giving them way more shield break too. Already breaking through that, forcing Winnable back, especially now that Bowie is out. Without a shield, you're so vulnerable to these hooks from Shirin and Tori. Nailed it. And now they can look towards the end of point B with even more ultimates, including a whole hog that can just make even more space.
So Blizzard almost ready as well for Winnable, coming up on quite a bit of ultimates, as you see Carbon actually on the Torb as he made a swap earlier. So they are on that kind of classic combination, those picks coming together for Triumph Academy on their attack, as they're just looking to get more and more picks, taking advantage of the comp, right?
A good Dragon. It does go behind Triumph Academy, who use the Immortality Field just in case. So Immortality Field for Dragon, Supercharger, Amp Matrix. I like that Triumph Academy always use those two together, so they are just having so much power. Power over 9,000. Now you give the whole hog forward. Winnable was zoned back for the moment. It did bait out the Transcendence though from Russian Cows, which wasn't ideal because they didn't really get the engage they wanted from using such an important ultimate.
Oh, in the corner now as well. Triumph Academy with just way too much pressure. As soon as you see Baboon walk up with the shield, it's just shattered in a second, maybe 2 seconds effectively, as it just gets drilled.
And there's Attack Visor from Winnable, already shut down. Kobe with the 3K, we love to see it. Now, it seems they've been uncontested here, X. They have 4 minutes, and this is the final fight coming up. This is gonna hurt time bank-wise if Winnable don't win this.
Very Happa coming out with the Bob, but you can see Carbon, he just threw out so much damage as well, instigating the fight early with the Molten Core.
Oh, that time bank is beautiful. Mwah. But also that Molten Core too. Triumph Academy, especially Carbon, use that Molten Core on the left side, so Winnable were almost all half health as soon as they got out of spawn. And when you're half health in your final fight, that sucks. 342, that was pretty good, pretty good.
That forces Winnable now to really kind of step up their game, play a lot quicker, and that's a struggle, I think, a little bit. And something that was interesting is you saw all that shield break, all that pressure behind the shield as well. So it really came down to basically a duel between shield break versus pick potential, where of course the team with the Roadhog probably has a little bit more of that. As you can see, Baboon, when he throws out his halt, Shirin Tori or whoever is on the hog has the ability to instantly get those picks. You also have the Hanzo there as well to try to get some headshots, put some damage in over the top of the shield. So as that halt does come off cooldown, that's basically their window of time to be able to find a kill, get the advantage, and then start forcing pressure out. Should that have been denied by either having, you know, a diva in play, denying the halts entirely, or just staying farther behind the shield so that they're not getting all pulled up, that might have actually worked out quite well for the shield pressure based composition that was coming out there from Winnable.
Yeah, and Winnable were forced to use support ultimates early. Like the first fight at point C, they had to use Transcendence and didn't really have much left in the tank for their final fight, including, well, they couldn't even have a real fight due to that Molten Core. So on their second attack, Winnable doing what they do best, the double sniper, this time with the Roadhog, which we like to see. So whether he set up the halt with the hook or he set up the halt for the snipers to take advantage, but your picks gotta be on either Carbon, Kabooms, or Kobe, since you got 3 tanks from Triumph Academy on the defense.
Steve is so lethal in this game. We've seen Ford and Fika now go off and just find solo kills time and time again, just focusing down targets that got lower, got softened up, and now Triumph Academy trying to stabilize this fight here on defense as best they can. Blizzard coming up soon for Kobe as well, and that's going to be a death knell probably for Winnable as they want to push in, they want to take control of the point. Well, how do you do that when you get slowed and reduced to nothing as you get hit with the Blizzard?
Yeah, I remember in the last attack we saw how quick it was as they used Transcendence aggressively. I want to say that was Triumph Academy that did that. So maybe Winnable just have to do that, except they don't have a Transcendence, they have a Valkyrie. And only a Mercy to help sustain this. Already having to use it early, but you're not getting a real engage from this quite yet. They're waiting for cooldowns. And there's going to be Bob, who's already contesting that back line, making sure Winnable can't rotate to the right side of the pillar. Supercharger, and so many ultimates from Triumph Academy closing out Winnable from that point.
And Triumph Academy coming out ahead here. Now they have so much time to just get one tick. So what this means here, and I say this quite a lot, but it's a very poignant point, I think, is, you know, you don't even need to just win the fight. You just need to win control, right? So this becomes a very tough task now for Winnable, because they not only have to try to, you know, decisively win every single fight, because they cannot also lose too many bodies. Otherwise, you'll see a momentum push come through, because a little bit of respawn advantage to the attacking side, just a little bit, but enough. And then on top of that, without losing too many members, you can't also lose control of the point. So you can't back up. You don't have the ability to actually recede back into the second phase of the map just a little bit, going through that archway to be able to reinstigate the fight later. You don't have time for that. Now you have to control the point throughout, and that's a very tough thing to do for 3 minutes and 42 seconds.
And Winnable played a solo heal Mercy. We were just talking about why Baptiste was better because of that group heal, even a Moira. Anything that can heal multiple people at once, which Mercy can only do that in Valk. And you saw that even when they had Valk, it took time for them to get engaged. So when you're running that solo heal, you need to go in fast and you need to win fast, because you don't have the resources to live out the other team, especially when you have someone that can only heal one person at a time.
So now we'll see Triumph Academy coming out of the gates. Remember, they have so much time here, and all they need is this one tick, and you can see how Winnable is going to look to defend this. A lot of damage, a lot of pressure here coming out, and the Dynamite to help them do that, as well as the extra contest from Bob should they need it.
Oh, a good hook. And the wall to try and prevent Ford and also get him out of mag. The immortality field is actually what saves him, or maybe buys him a second life. Meanwhile, Triumph Academy were so focused on that kill, they've lost 2 of their own. At least they have some time, as Winnable want to hold this shield. They have the Amp Matrix for a little extra damage. Because Kaboom's was low, they had to retreat. That's their only healer. You gotta protect them with your life.
Yeah, composure is key here, though, for Winnable. I mean, they have to make sure that they can do that time and time again. They know that they're basically kind of just relying on momentum here in the back line to try to keep them all alive. Obviously, Kaboom's doing the same thing for his team, but at least momentum has the ability to kind of line of sight away from a lot of the pressure coming their way, and he can just focus on healing as best he can. And now it really just comes down to who's going to have the better ult rotation. Triumph Academy's just instigating the fight early with the Bob.
Oh, that bot placement is so good. Not only does he get the Immortality Matrix out, but Triumph Academy are stuck having to shoot him down, so buys the defense some time, which they are up in kills at the moment, even using the Supercharger in case Triumph Academy were ready to engage, which doesn't seem like they are.
Still so much pressure. You're seeing them shatter the shield as well. Winnable just winning out that shield pressure duel. And that's going to be important for them, especially as this Hanzo is getting into the picture here. You can see him putting out the pressure and getting these Dragon Strikes quickly.
Oh, Bob versus Bob, but the attacking Bob is in a little bit better position. Already gets the wall out to protect him. Immortality field is out. But Winnable are just finding shots. They can play line of sight around this hotel. Maybe it's up to Triumph Academy to get a Lucio and speed into the hotel around them. It feels like Winnable are so safe.
And they're cleaning house at the moment. Fika going to be killed off here as well, as Organic gets that kill. And that's important too, because they need those offensive ultimates. But something to make mention of here is, again, you can't lose too many bodies if you're the defending side. And momentum went down there, and he's on a long rotation back to the point, as you see multiple members of Winnable actually down low HP right now. So they need that healing, and they need to play on back point.
Momentum is back. Blizzard on the point for Triumph Academy. Gives them some space along with the whole hog. They could have probably put that Blizzard even farther deep, but Ford gets 1 kill with the self-destruct, but it's the only healer of Triumph Academy, so now they need to win this here. But at least Kaboom's has a closer spawn, so he'll get back quicker. One last dragon, they spread around it, and that's the 1 tick Triumph Academy needed, and they get it. Nice job.
So despite saying Winnable wins, it's actually Triumph Academy taking that one, and I believe that ties us up, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I was going to ask you that, actually. Yes,
right,
it
so
does
that
tie us up. Okay,
does.
confirmed. We got it. So yeah, Winnable did win that first map on Busan. Triumph Academy answered back on King's Row. It is a best of 5. On the line is $500. We're going to send it to a quick halftime break so everyone can get their bathroom breaks. We can get our small snacks, and we will be back for Escort. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch Proving Grounds Matcherino Gamestop. We're here at Lemon Kiwi Heroics. It's halftime after the halftime, where it's a tie game between the third place, or going to be fighting for third place, Winnable versus Triumph Academy.
And we're going to be diving right back into the action, jumping into Route 66 here for this, I guess now third map. I was going to say the first map after halftime, but third map now that we're going to be going into here. As you mentioned, it is tied up. And as we move into Route 66, I imagine the case here might be that we might be seeing a little bit more DPS coming out. I mean, again, we already did see quite a bit of it. I mean, so far we've seen basically every meta composition in the book. I mean, we've seen the 3-2-1 Sombra, we've seen the 3-3, we've seen 3 DPS with Hammond. If I'm not mistaken,
solo heal, quad tank,
yeah.
Or did we see quad tank? I think that's the only one we're
triple
missing.
tank. I think we saw triple tank
Clockwork.
with the Clockwork. I mean, the only thing we're really missing, I guess, to a degree, we even saw just a standard bunker as well. So basically everything that is meta right now, we've already seen through 2 maps, through a control map and a hybrid map. And now as we move on to now Escort, which is what I think the teams were trying to play before the last map until we told them that wasn't happening yet. Yeah. Now diving into Route 66, I imagine here that we're going to be continuing to see some of that bunker selection coming through, just as we did on King's Row. And that is indeed the case with the DPS coming out yet again. And it looks like we have to restart the lobby really quick, as it is on quick play setting instead of comp setting.
Nice. I noticed that in Control too, or at least it wasn't set on Best of 3. But anyway, once we do get into Route 66, we've seen everything, but I feel like most of the time we've been casting it in trials and whatever we've been up to, it's been mostly Rhine 3-3, and I'm excited to see how teams have really shaped up to how you're going to attack that first point, because it's almost like the first fight is always taken at the spawn doors of the attacking team.
Yeah, it's odd. You see some of these compositions, or at least one in particular, obviously starting basically deriving from an EU team that played a certain type of way, and it's been slowly working its way west, and basically that has integrated a lot of different looks that have hit those regions as it does move its way, as if it's like some kind of cold front or something, just moving westward rather than, you know, south or anything like that. As it slowly moves across, you see bunker comps being reintroduced into the meta in those regions, as well as different 3 DPS looks that have kind of hit as well. Otherwise, a lot of these other Eastern regions, you know, like Korea, like China, typically the regions that we cover, those are basically still playing a lot of the 3-2-1 with the Sombra, maybe a little bit of the 3-3 here and there. We're seeing a lot of that even still. But again, it certainly in Europe and North America, which obviously we're covering North America here, a lot of bunker, a lot of CV, a lot of, you know, triple DPS that has come out and actually worked out quite well, especially against the standard of the GOATS compositions or variations thereof.
And speaking of North America, we were just looking at the team sheets for both these teams, and we saw a player we recognized of Valen on Triumph Academy, which is on the substitute roster, but good times casting him in South America when we were doing that. That guy has such a good Pharah and just all around flex guy. So at least if he doesn't play today, I'd be excited to see what he's doing in North America, what he's been up to.
Yeah, so certainly with these teams, there's a lot of really solid players on this roster for Triumph Academy. I mean, a lot of different options for them to select from, right? I mean, tons of different variations that they could go with, Valen being just one of those many options that they could go for. And so far it looks like it's working out in their favor, that they are going to be going with Kobe and Carbon instead. And interestingly, I don't see Kobe actually on their team sheet, so
surprise. But anyway, he had a pretty good Pharah in that first Busan map, but he's been locked on the Hanzo ever since, and they've been just going more to the double sniper, where Carbon really popped off on Busan on the Widow, especially downtown, where now Winnable are starting to close that gap. There was an initial hook, but no conversion, as Winnable did lose 2, so now this is going to be hard for them to break through that shield. A sick hook from Fika gets even more out of the picture for Winnable.
You can see Triumph Academy holding here on the corner at the moment, just looking to try to create a lot of barrier pressure, drop that shield from Bowie, and that allows Carbon and Kobe to just go ahead and get picks as they come. And Of course, that will slow the attack for sure when they start dropping bodies like that. And this pressure is just immense from Kobe and Carbon.
Oh, these halt and hooks from the defense are really scaring Winnable. Usually they will scatter or they will die to that. Triumph Academy have been holding for quite some time too. I wonder how Winnable are going to change the setup. Are they still going to go for the sniper v sniper, or are they going to go for more shield break? Because I don't think Winnable have gotten much progress so far.
See these ultimates coming online now, as we do see swaps actually from Winnable, and that's a quick pick onto Carbon.
Yeah, Mercy is able to resurrect that one. A dragon just halting the progress even more of Winnable. Now that it's out, another halt and hook. Fika gets another finisher. The sniper's also benefiting from all these hooks. Whole hog being used from Triumph Academy to just retake that space. And they've been unfazed so far.
Now, basically half of the time bank, actually over half the time bank now, already dissipated here. Triumph Academy has just stopped them in their tracks. They can't get around this corner at all. In a lot of cases, they can't even get to the corner. As they approach, they just get murdered. However, soon you will see an opportunity here for Winnable, as we'll see that Dragon Strike coming online, and a great pick there from the halt hook combo. Also purpled Fika as well.
Supercharger just to make sure it was the full finish onto that Roadhog with that one big advantage, looking for another one. Now it's Russian Cow's turn to pop off. They're done. Fika had to do a quick swap. He's back on the Roadhog. So Triumph Academy will be back for one last contest, but Winnable, they almost got another halt and hook to stagger someone, but now they're going to be coming back as a team and probably on that high ground.
No one
First sight available for K happen now, and that's going to be incredibly important for them, as they can see that approach, set up the halt hook, and yet another pick on the Fika.
Oh, if that dragon would have just been a little bit earlier, they could have used the halt to just make that even more powerful, or just group them right into the dragon. But it seems like Winnable, they just needed to warm up a little bit. Their halt and hooks have been so clean, except for the first 2 minutes.
Yeah. Took a little bit of time, but as soon as they got things set up, everything's kind of coming together nicely. And on top of that, it's not just the halt hook that's actually being quite potent. It's also Kerry Happa getting involved in those a little bit, providing a little bit of overwatch there for his team. Not only that, but also some suppressive fire onto the halts as they're getting pick after pick. And so far, there really hasn't been a solid 6v6 for Triumph Academy in quite some time here.
Oh, the 2K! Don't do it to him, Carrie. And now Organic's getting in on it. Okay, well, he got stunned there. So, Winnable have just carried so much momentum. They also have to remember there's a cart existing on this map, so they want to convert these kills into progress. So Ford is going to be back there. He's not going to have the greatest lines of sights on healing, but thankfully Triumph Academy have been staggered so much that there's not going to be a fight almost maybe until 3/4 to the way to point B.
Dragon Strike available for Triumph Academy, though, and they might actually have to use this just to get onto the cart, let alone win the fight. Wall coming out now from Carbon to allow them an opportunity to drop down, but instead they let that time out. And again, they still need this Dragon Strike just to get out.
This is so good. You have dragons, you have whole hogs, but Winnable's halt and hooks have been so good, but they have an Ana to also anti-Shinanatori on that Roadhog and sleep him. So there's that extra danger that Triumph Academy have to deal with, and the double healing from Winnable is going to help out a lot more.
Winnable easily, or seemingly easily now, taking that second point. Going forward, Kerry Happa definitely living up to the first half of his name at the moment, as they have just relied on these picks from him and Organic so far throughout this, basically the successful portion of their push so far. And now just taking advantage of these high grounds, a couple of opportunities for picks here, and Russian Cows going down.
Yeah, they're using the hooks and also the May wall to just perma-trapped whoever they're gonna be hooking from Winnable. So that first pick really slowed that momentum from Winnable, and now with this May wall, this could be really dangerous for Carbon to really help out his team.
See a swap coming out now. Kerry Havoc actually going to go back over to the Ash pick that we've seen him on before. And finally, a moment for stability actually coming out for Triumph Academy. We haven't seen this in a couple of minutes now. And we saw it on the first point. They were looking incredibly solid. Now finally maybe have an opportunity to do that yet again here.
Great dragon to get that for at least one of the healers from Winnable gets resurrected back. Now without that res, might be a moment to engage, but the shield from the offense is so broken, allows for that hook on the carry to go through. And it seems to be a shield war. Who is able to keep that up? Who's planning these halts and hooks perfectly? So far, Triumph Academy have really halted and just stopped all this momentum that Winnable just came to point C with.
Now once again, holding down a corner, just like we saw them do on point A. Able to kind of line of sight everybody behind the shield on the corner and basically force Winnable to try to come around a corner just to get an angle to shoot the shield, let alone the rest of the team. So that certainly puts Winnable at a slight disadvantage on the attacking side as they have to push forward with the Orisa to attack.
I like the dragon at the back, but Fika's self-destruct caught the backline of Winnable, including that Mercy. So now Ford will have to solo heal for some time, but the rest of the team are really separated from the hooks from Triumph Academy and the walls that Carbon can use to do just that, to divide Winnable. So I wonder how they're gonna switch it up. Carry has to go to the May himself.
Triumph Academy have taken this time bank down to a minute here, and they have ultimates to win what could very well be the last ditch opportunity here, the last fight on the attacking side. However, Organic with a nice pick opens things up. Now they have the 6v5 advantage to push forward with.
That halt wasn't met with the hook, but there's a whole hog from the defense just pushing everything back. Nano given to Bowie, knowing he's the most important character, and but maybe you needed a to save Ford with his shield, because now with a lot less healing, Winnable maybe going for that res, finding some space to do so. Triumph Academy met with that wall, and now with an anti, using the Blizzard in defense, Blizzard on the offense. No one can move at all. Carry is somehow still alive. Great healing from Momentum, who wasn't caught from the Blizzard, that allowed his team to stay alive. And now Triumph Academy had a good defense, but the final one is coming up.
And the bull came through on that one. A little bit better follow-up on the Blizzard as they locked everything down. Dragon Strike available, though, here for Triumph Academy. Kobe's going to unleash that, try to at least clear the payload if they can.
Russian Cows got halted into the dragon and then hooked to be finished off. As the attacking team, you just can't be missing anyone. Now they don't have a mercy. It's an overtime. You have to save Ford, make sure he stays alive, and he has to heal everyone who is so spread out. They're falling apart. Triumph Academy really taking this one back with the Amp Matrix, with everything they have left in the tank. With that first pick, they're able to hold that offensive winnable at bay.
They do indeed get the stop, but now a win condition is set for Triumph Academy. Go the distance, win the map, get the lead in this series as well. This is a best of 5. I almost said 3 for some reason. My brain is just off, I guess, today. But
You're
best of 5. Right best of 5 here in this series. So winner of this does not come away with the 3rd place. They do need to win yet another map to achieve that title in this tournament and claim that prize money. Quite a bit of prize money. It's $500, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, this is the 3rd place match
just for 3rd place.
Just for 3rd place. And we have the grand final coming up, everybody, where 1st place gets $3,000, 2nd place gets $1,500. That's a lot of bones on the line.
A lot of dosh right there, right?
That's such a boomer word. Bones.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say dosh. How's that a boomer word?
I don't even know what that word is, so I must be not from this time.
Australian. Come on.
Oh, okay. I don't have many Australian friends, and by that I mean none. Our time zones just don't line up, you know?
Well, either way, we're gonna see the side swap here. Winnable coming out. You can see Carry Hapa actually coming back onto the Ashe as well. And I do like this. They do pull this out defensively quite a bit. Seems like they really like this against bunker compositions. This is something that, you know, selfishly, I really like playing this in comp. I like pulling this particular pick out myself, playing against some bunkers. Again, you can just put the pressure behind the shield so much easier. You have the dynamite to be able to do that. Typically, teams aren't playing Diva with this particular composition, so you just have free reign to just get bobs out constantly. Those dynamites also make it so that the teams can't force pressure onto your shield because they don't want to stand in the dynamite range at all either, but certainly can't do that if you die off. But somehow Carry Hapa stays alive for now.
Yeah, Ford didn't even dive in to try and matrix that. The immortality field kind of did also save him. I'm surprised he didn't die at all. But Triumph Academy getting a ton of space now. Just have to break through the shield of Bowie, doing just that. Where are these hooks? This is going to be deadly. Ford is already almost out of mech. Great halt, but no hook to follow up from Winnable. His immortalities exchanged, but momentum still is found. This Triumph Academy now still have a healer standing. Winnable do not. So they might have to at least reset, try and get out if they can, but oh my goodness, Tori is looking for blood.
A really, really solid couple of picks coming in at the end there. Ideally, of course, Winnable would have loved to have their DPS there already so that they could kind of soften Triumph Academy up, force them back so that they can't just come forward very easily like they are right now. You see Triumph Academy easily able to get that first cap because of that fact. Winnable just weren't able to get onto the point. They didn't have the forward pressure. First of all, alive at that point, but certainly in the position that they needed to be in to allow them to get in and contest.
So stuck at this point. At least there's divas on both sides. Can't eat that dragon though. Let's see if we can eat this one. Nope, not that one either. Dragon's Cross. Triumph Academy only lost their Roadhog. They're trying to make some space, but now a Bob's gonna be standing in their way and actually right in their faces and have to reset up that shield or try and go for that kill on the Bob. But Triumph Academy will be slowed down for the second as the door is closed.
Still a lot of ultimates available though here for Triumph Academy, as we can see the Mei coming in, Blizzard at the ready. So much damage that they have to be able to throw onto the Blizzard and targets. Anything that gets frozen is basically assuredly dead. If they can clear out the immortality field, that will go down as well.
Yeah, whole hog from Triumph Academy. Try and make some space. But at least at close range, Triumph Academy will benefit from this Mei. But at a distance, this is where Winnable are more powerful, replacing that Mei with an Ashe. And especially if Carry gets Bobs every round, this will be hard for Triumph Academy to get any sort of distance. Bobs are really good at stalling out the cart and also just stopping any attack. And Triumph Academy now using that Blizzard, and it completely misses all of Winnable, but it's still a one fight for them. They've gotten enough picks to take care of the front line, and Winnable will try and get out.
All that pressure that they're putting down with Kobe and Tori, almost specifically, it's tough to deal with. On top of that, Fika actually on the Diva here. It's going to be so important because now he can eat the dynamites. He can also eat the halts coming out. As you see it match on the other side, forward actually on the Diva as well to try to get that, as we saw them swap a little bit earlier. Just trying to lessen a lot of the damage pressure that's coming their way.
That was a cool setup. Triumph Academy used a wall on the left and then a dragon on the right. Fika self-destruct, just close out the fight right there. So this is perfect plays, just kind of how we saw on King's Row. Once they have gas in the tank, they just can't seem to put their foot on the brake. Now going into the final part of Point C with 4 minutes and 30, winning this, already getting some stagger kills is going to buy them a lot of space. And Winnable have a lot to make up for.
Yeah, and Winnable also know that they need to slow down the pace of this attack. Really kind of shut this down a little bit, and the best way to do that is to get the Mei on board here, and they've done just that, just to kind of, again, just slow down the pace of this fight so that they can start peeling more time off the clock with these engagements.
Hook on the Russian cows and a wall to close them off from the rest of the team. The whole hog just to guarantee that kill. Quite a few ultimates used from Triumph Academy. They missed Kobe at the start. Another great hook from Tori. There we go. Dragon Strike from the defense, and now a Blizzard from them as well. Winnable taking back the fight in their hands. Carry is in Triumph's backline, freezing them. Even finds himself behind Baboon. Supercharger, though, from Triumph gives them some attacking power, but not when they have people from Winnable in their backline. So that attack will be slowed down for Triumph Academy.
Well, Triumph Academy, I mean, they still have 3.5 minutes, plenty of time to be able to play with, right? But the big thing to look at here is the economy that they're kind of building into, right? I mean, building up as many ults as possible so that they can win 2 fights, kind of basically just 1.5 fights, though. As soon as they win this first fight, if it's a team kill, ideally, they're able to go through and maybe just kind of shut down 1 fight, but other way, it's just going to be a stall.
Great dragon from Triumph Academy is placed perfectly to zone Winnable off towards the right side. Fika self-destruct made some space, only found the supercharger. Now the Blizzard is what you have to worry about. It's so far deep into Winnable's defense. Does freeze some, and Carbon and Kaboom's taking advantage now. Meters away from that yellow box of victory. It's a tie game. Triumph Academy are looking to make this a 2-1. Winnable not coming back with anything unless Carry can get Blizzard, but he dies with it. Ford has a self-destruct. He needs to use this now, but he gets zoned off from the whole hog. Triumph Academy will go up 2-1.
Now they take the lead here in the series. Now it's such a clutch pick for them to get there, to be able to take down Carry. He was sitting at 20 HP. and they knew that they needed that Blizzard. As soon as he died off, the fight was basically lost at that point. There's almost no coming back into that fight at that stage. You can see him, you know, despite going down, he gets to play the game, and a lot of great picks for them. This is what allowed their attack to be so potent initially. Just unfortunate for them that their defense did not go even close to the same way, as that May just worked out so well for the attacking side of Triumph Academy.
So, that was your escort map. We will be heading into Assault, where Winnable will get that choice. But while we wait for the gears to turn for either side, we want to thank you guys for, you know, helping support Tier 2, Tier 3, and especially a big thank you to Gamestop and Matt Chirino coming together to put this prize pool together. And also that Gamestop is really leveling up their esports play. Yeah, you buy games from them and all the awesome equipment and stuff that you get from GameStop, but they're also getting involved in esports. If you go to their website, they're actually coming up with really cool content, educational content for Overwatch. I think they even teamed up with Houston Outlaws and some cool stuff like that. So definitely go check out GameStop and see what they have in their esports department.
Yeah, I actually saw a couple of those videos, and pretty interesting. Actually very highly educational. If anybody wants to learn a little bit more about that, certainly hit that up and dive in. I believe they're just they're relatively short, so I mean, you know, really
Digestible.
highly highly digestible content. So if anybody wants to learn anything, that would be probably one of the first places I would point anyone to at this point, right? I mean, you go on YouTube, you really can't find anything better than those videos. But either way, we're going to dive into Volskaya here ourselves, as this is going to be our fourth map. It is the Assault map type. Remember again that this is a best of 5 right now, 2-1 in favor of Triumph Academy. So if Triumph Academy, of course, wins this, they will win the series, and bronze, as well as the $500 prize of third place along with it.
That would be pretty hyped for the, I mean, Triumph are doing quite well in contenders, and now to have their academy kind of get that Tier 2 win in this tournament would be pretty hype. But Winnable, I mean, it's in their name. Unless maybe somehow they curse themselves by having win in their name. But we'll see how they can turn around this map and how we can force the game 5. But for the moment, let's talk about the defense. Triumph Academy doing what they know best with the halt and hook and the double sniper.
Yeah, double sniper is something that, you know, both of these teams have tried, worked out quite well on Winnable's attack on Route 66. We'll have to see. I mean, certainly there are some longer sight lines that Triumph Academy can use here on defense, specifically for Carbon, and this is kind of tailored for Carbon in a lot of ways if he can find some value. But you can see an adjustment being made, at least for the time being, as Ford goes out. It looks like they're either A, going to be sticking to this, or he's just going to go out and actually scout out the enemy composition. That's what they do here. They decide, you know what, we know what happened on Route 66. We're going to bring out the May this time. That's our pick. And they're going to come out and do just that. No Torb on the field for them for that classic look, but Hanzo, a little bit more of an approachable pick, I would say, in a lot of ways.
I was gonna say, the only issue with Winnable's comp is that they have to close that distance, so this May can be effective. So they can use the walls to close everyone off or add a secondary shield. And they're closing that distance by actually hooking everyone. Russian Kaz doing a wonderful job of that. Taking care of Kabooms means, well, and also Shida Notori is no healing for Triumph Academy. So within the first fight, Winnable, get point A. That's fabulous.
This is just such a tough composition to play against, right? I mean, honestly, the fixtures that you hate to see coming at you are the Orisa, the Hog, and the May. Those are the 3 main pieces, I think, of that kind of standard CV comp that just strike fear in the hearts of basically everybody that plays the game right now. It's so difficult to get around that, and the pick potential is so high, and it shuts you down if you do wind up getting caught and isolated.
Already the Immortality field is out. Winnable making their way towards the point, looking for the hooks, but it's not connecting. Triumph Academy are spread out too. Not able to benefit as much from the shield from Babu. Now they're set up on the point. Dragon at the back. Kobe with 2. And mainly, the main healer and only healer for Winnable is gone, and that's when the fight's dead.
So now 5 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock. Winnable right now building into ultimates. Certainly Blizzard being one that could swing a fight in their favor, but remember, they need to get onto the point slowly as they are running an Orisa, so they have to kind of work their way up incrementally, shield by shield, forcing their way forward, but that's no way to do it. Kabooms already has eliminated Bowie from this playing field.
Yeah, no shield, another dead fight, you can say, as Winnable might need to invest in another healer because Triumph Academy, with all this pick potential, it's so much danger for momentum. If he gets picked at any point, that fight is pretty much dead for Winnable, and they need so much sustain to not only win the first fight for point B, but to keep winning the next fights to fully cap it out.
The worry here for me is that Triumph Academy can just play off of this disengage potential time and time again, and that forces the attacking side to play very aggressively. They're doing just that here. Blizzard coming out.
Oh, and Matrix and Bob, though, is so scary. Winnable just had to hide from that. They couldn't even engage off of that wonderfully placed Blizzard from Carry. Eventually, Winnable lost their healer again, and it was just not well-timed Blizzard. They probably had to wait out the Bob, but it was probably unlucky timing that they both just came out at the same time.
Dragon Strike did come out from Kobe. Maybe would have liked to hold on to that. Seemed like a fight that they could have won, especially with respawn advantage there as well. Yeah, he wanted to get a couple of kills in the feed, right? But either way, Triumph Academy, they are still defending here, and certainly because of Carbon bringing out the Ash, you're going to see a lot of ultimates at the ready for them, and they actually can't even push anymore at all. Momentum is one of those players that if he dies, the fight's dead. Just reset.
And then it's like, what do you do if you're winnable? On an Orisa, you have to keep setting up this shield. It's not like a Reinhardt where you can incrementally push up. And also the Triumph Academy are on the high ground. Winnable have nothing that can go and contest that except Ford. And Ford to go up there 1v3 is not a smart move either. So this is going to be scary for Winnable.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on Bowie and Ford together to kind of work alongside one another and make sure that they can actually push into the point, but that's still going to be such a struggle. You're seeing the Bob actually at the ready again. What a nice hook! That actually could have killed, but the immortality field was there.
Yeah. The second life, the second chance at life, that's what momentum does give the player, by the way. But still, he's been picked a few times. Another hook! Oh, that's a painful one. Triumph Academy, because they've been just chilling this whole time. Look how many ultimates they have.
Yeah, they haven't been forced at all to utilize anything. Of course, at the same side, I mean, Winnable, they've been doing just the same as they've been dying off so quickly. Nice wall to lock them into the Blizzard.
Oh, that was a very nice dragon and wall. Organic getting two. Now the defense have no shield. Winnable would love to go in on this. Unfortunately, Ford is going to run his mech right into the whole hog of Triumph Academy. So missing that is going to stall some things out. They can walk away still with the tick. Supercharger used rather early. Triumph Academy going to throw Bob onto the point. He gets melted. Winnable looking for their final tick, using the wall to close off Triumph Academy, getting that D-Mag. This is good. Triumph Academy, can they even contest? They can't.
Yeah, Baboon actually got killed at the last second there. Shidinatori, he was getting forced off the point on top of that. So a really nice push started out there from the beginning. I believe it was Carry Happy, if I'm not mistaken, coming through on the May, and that is accurate. So Carry Happy coming through on the May, and actually not only just throwing down the Blizzard, but also walling the enemy team off so that they couldn't disengage and rotate out and away from that Blizzard. Perhaps we could have seen Baboon actually pull away from that had that wall not actually gone down because of the use of the fortified that he had available to him, but worked out well in favor of Winnable, who finally pushed their way in. I mean, it was basically an instant cap on point A and then a little bit of a struggle to get point B, but overall 2 minutes to work with. If they do need that time later on, that's decent. Certainly could allow them the opportunity to take point A and maybe get a couple of opportunities at point B.
And that was after such a strong defense. Like, Triumph Academy had 5 ults online before Winnable finally stormed in. And that was because they finally found, Winnable found value with the May. Because the Blizzard didn't work out because of the Bob was thrown out or countered from Triumph Academy. And once they stepped onto the point, they finally used the walls to stall out the defense and also get the D-Max. So I think once they Winnable have this setup, they can really conquer whatever stands in their way. See if they can conquer back the attack from Triumph, though.
2 minutes. We've seen quite a bit of Triumph Academy. You know, they have a little bit of a stumble at the beginning, or sorry, at the end of a map, and you know you can see how a team could run through, and Winnable has gotten quite some distance on some of their pushes here. But as soon as Triumph Academy goes on their attack, they are lethal. They are so good on their attacking phases that I would be surprised if it didn't continue here. So we'll have to see. They're making the rotations onto the point. Everything is very concise. They approach very well, and they're not losing bodies to Carry Happa and Organic on these two sniper picks here as they're finally actually working their way over to the point.
Yeah, another May on the offense again, similar to Winnable's attack. Trying to close that distance, wall off any members, or use it as a secondary shield, whatever you will. But the Halton hooks is what's key, and already having that immortality used early for Triumph Academy is not ideal. Of course, you don't want to get picked first, but it's a slow attack, and you're going to see slower paced attacks when you have Orisa versus Orisa fights.
Absolutely. Blizzard coming up, though, for Carbon. Pick still coming out for Winnable. You're seeing ultimates used on both sides, specifically the Amp Matrix traded here. As, again, just waiting on this Blizzard for Triumph Academy, and that's going to be what they need to be able to push into this point and maybe get the kills, just as we saw Carry Happa do for Winnable on their second point attack. We'll have to see Triumph Academy probably combine for that exact same combination of just throw in the Blizzard, throw up the wall, and then push in as much as you possibly can to try to get those kills on the slowed or frozen targets.
Oh, nice pick from Carry. Also that Winnable had been focusing more on the high ground. Triumph Academy did send Fika up there, who lost the Diva War to forward. So if Triumph Academy want to get these picks, besides just relying on the Halton hook, I'd like to see Organic and Carry going, or not Organic and Carry, Kobe specifically go on that high ground, which now they're not running a Widow. So now it's 2 snipers versus 1. Triumph Academy already having to use that mortality field so early. It's going to be a slow fight. They try and use that May wall to get Bowie away from the rest of the team. The Dragons used on the right almost halted the Diva right into it, but no picks thus far.
Still Winnable with all the control in the world. Finally, a rotation is made around to the high ground, so they are going to get control of that, but not for long as Baboon goes down.
That's the worst pick too, because he's so slow. Now, is he going to be able to join the rest of the team who are on this high ground? And as they try and go back for Bowie, they might just get picked, which is exactly what Winnable are doing. They're on the high ground, they're chasing, and they're staggering Triumph Academy more, who are down to their last minute and 20 to get point A.
Team this Blizzard held on to, it's unfortunate that they haven't been able to actually expend that ultimate. Certainly a lot comes down to the fact that Triumph Academy, they're making solid rotations to get to the point, but as soon as they actually get there, they're met instantly by a halt combo with either Bowie, or sorry, obviously with Bowie, but either with Russian Cows, Carry Happa, Organic, all applying pressure, throwing in the hook, throwing in their damage, trying to get headshots as well. And basically every time that first halt comes out from Bowie, they're getting a kill. Winnable's always coming out ahead with the 65 advantage every single time.
The Dragon, oh, so well placed too. It traps Winnable into the right side. They're going to use the Blizzard and the Amp Matrix and the self-destruct. A lot of ultimates from Triumph Academy, who did lose not only their main tank, but their Roadhog. Triumph Academy don't even have a leg to stand on despite so many ultimates that they just used, and now 30 seconds left. They just can't stagger more here.
Yeah, unless Carbon swaps to, okay, there he goes, swaps to a sniper, and there's only one available, so Widowmaker coming out. They need that pick potential. There's nothing left available for them at this moment here. Carry Happa coming back as well on the May, as you can see. Also, Organic coming out on the Doomfist, so an interesting set of picks made here. Winnable could hold this down, but some picks coming out for Carbon.
Organic uppercutted everyone into his teammate's self-destruct. That was, I'm not even sure if intended, but it was sure was flashy from Winnable, who were just seeming like they were seconds away from full holding. But with the 3 remaining members, Triumph Academy now will have one final boss, and that final boss is dead. Russian Cows back to spawn. Triumph Academy in overtime will get point A.
A lot of clutch factor from Carbon just to help secure that. I mean, a couple of really clutch headshots coming in from this Widowmaker, and that's exactly what I was trying to get at there before the fight ensued, was that outside of, you know, a couple of picks, there's really nothing that they could do to secure this here. And that's exactly what they did, and that's exactly what they got. Went on to the Widowmaker, secured the objective. Now they have that extra 3 minutes allotted to them, as we do have that change. This is on the live patch, so it's not an 8-minute time bank total. It's the 7-minute instead, and now Triumph Academy pushing in. They've got a couple of ults to play around with. They need to secure this point quickly, though, so they can have opportunity to actually win the map later on.
But with a Baptiste as your healer, this is just going to be really hard for Carbon. At least he's playing so far back that he doesn't have to worry about Pope. They're getting some picks. The Amp Matrix is out. Winnable's just playing out of line of sight, so taking away the value from all this poke potential from Triumph. So they set their shield back on the point. This is where things are dangerous, but whole hog into the Mega Pack room from Russian Cows to just displace, try and go for any sort of kills, but the Immortality Field cancels that out. Triumph Academy get their first pick, and now Winnable coming back with some desperate picks like the Hammond.
This is so important for Triumph Academy to win this fight here with 1 minute and 45 seconds left, and they're utilizing everything. They don't have too many more opportunities to go for, and they're actually securing these kills. They have control on the point as well.
That was it's kind of scary though, because Kaboom's is dead, and that was the only healer Triumph Academy had. Thankfully, Winnable walled themselves off from the point, or they left a small opening, but they still couldn't contest nonetheless. And Triumph Academy will complete the map.
So, something I thought was interesting though, we kind of made quick note of it, but now that we have a little bit more time to discuss it, is an interesting swap from Carbon actually coming out on the Pharah. And something that you mentioned was that they only had the one healer, and interestingly, it was probably the one healer outside of maybe Lucio that you just wouldn't want to play a Pharah with, logically speaking at least, because with a Lucio, obviously you're pretty much never going to get heals unless you ground yourself. But on top of that, I mean, with the Baptiste, you have basically the same problem. Unless you come down and he hits a shift, you're basically saying that your Baptiste either A is just never going to heal you, or B, he's basically shadow burn and he's hitting the nuttiest right clicks of his life, directing you in midair, which is certainly possible, especially if you can control your movement and allow him opportunities to go for those heals. But otherwise, you're playing off of health packs or playing so far back, like we saw Carbon playing, that you're not taking the damage, you're not taking the pressure, and you're just laying in suppressive fire more or less.
Yeah, that suppressive fire forced Winnable to shield themselves towards the left side, where an awkward rotation forced them into a very small Mega Pack room where Triumph Academy ran them over. So I think maybe whatever Carbon did was intended to force a positioning that Winnable weren't comfortable with, and they eventually succumbed. So now 1 minute 30 for Triumph to get that point. Not a lot of time, despite it took them so long to get this in the first place.
Winnable looking to hold out here yet again. They were real solid initially on their first point hold, but perhaps a little lesson learned by Triumph Academy as they've swapped their composition up entirely. Now they have the EMP Nanoblade combination to utilize, and I think Triumph Academy really want to try to be able to secure this fight with a solid dive, go for a soft dive, gain that area control, and then go from there with a hard dive and not utilize any ultimates, so they have that threatening combination of those 3 ultimates for the second fight.
Triumph Academy are diving right after that Diva of Ford, who's able to somehow get out. That hack on the momentum stalls him out for the second, as Triumph Academy have just trapped Winnable in this room, still looking for that first pick and separating Bowie away from the rest, getting that kill. Now it does. Secures Triumph Academy that point. So they played that dive pretty nice.
Well, Kabooms did have to utilize the nano boost at this point, but now they have a little bit of time. You can see the DPS going forward, and this is so important here for Kobe and Carbon, as they know that they have to get this EMP Blade combination ready to go. There's no defensive ultimate available for Winnable to be able to delete anything here from Kobe. So Kobe's going to go through, have the benefit of the EMP, and his blade should be incredibly lethal. They might actually be able to cap second off of that combo.
Yeah, you can only hope that maybe the dragon from Organic can try and zone them out. He's going to do just that right into the middle of the point, but the blade is what's shining here for Triumph Academy, who have so many ultimates left over from that first fight. They had a slow first attack, but this second one is lethal, just annihilating Winnable, who get that final take, and even with some seconds left. Yeah.
That is so important here. Triumph Academy get the second point, but to have time left on the clock, that allows you to go even further rounds, and that could be something that winds up proving very important for them. Should, Winnable actually get that 4th point on the board, they might have the ability to go further along. So now they know that they can actually kind of relax a little bit. They know that should Winnable go through and actually cap out both points, it's still very much a winnable situation for them, because, of course, it will be a relatively similar time, right? I mean, even if they lose 2 fights in a row, it's still going to be a relatively similar time. Then you just go to a point A attack. You already showed that with that composition that you came out on point A with, you can get the first cap pretty easily. And not only that, but you have momentum to cap for second. So even with a minute and a half, which might wind up being even longer than that, should it get to that stage, you could actually get 2 more points on the board if you can attack just like that again.
Not even going. Winnable might just go back to the Rhine 3-3. Back to that winning condition of, yeah, going after the Grav. Just trying to run them right over. It's Triumph Academy going for more of a bunker setup as usual. Maybe the trick is to just speed into them forehead. We'll see.
It's so tough though still. I mean, certainly you're going to lessen some of the value of the halt hook combo as Bowie's going to go up and provide the shield for his team and maybe block out the hook as they do go up into the air. But still, you have to worry about the walls. You still have to worry about, you know, all the damage that's coming your way. And on top of that, Kabooms will be able to get his ult quickly, and that's just even more damage pressure that you have to deal with. So it's going to be very, very hard in those stages to be able to actually get through this bunker composition on defense here. But that's one way to do it. Kobe a little bit too aggressive there.
Oh, and the wall actually separates Ford from the rest, who was already close to losing mech within the first engage, and now actually losing mech. So still winnable, have their foot onto the point. They need to play together. This is the whole point of 3-3. And they would like to accumulate more ultimates too, especially Carry getting more grab charge for the point B snowball, because they don't have a lot of time, and they want to finish with time for point B too.
They're not going to be really that close to the grab, but they will capture point A, allot themselves that extra time to their bank, and they will have maybe 2 opportunities to attack point B with, which they might actually have to utilize unless this aggressive Transcendence is something that they can force some kills with early, get some momentum from point A, and get their Graviton online. They're going to need that to secure this.
Having the Transcendence, though, is going to be important. Dragon right through the middle. Transcendence already triggered just to make sure, especially through this blizzard from Carbon that just came down. You would have liked that Transcendence a little bit later. Still, kills coming in for winnable. They only lost their Zarya, so you don't have that grab winning condition, but a self-destruct buys them some space towards the right. Triumph Academy coming through the middle. They need the supercharger. They need a good shield to find a toe onto this point, but Bowie's not going to let him. Great shatter into the back, preventing them from touching. Carbon's coming back as the Hammond, but he's dead already, so winnable. Finish with time, 32 seconds.
And somehow, on top of that, I mean, we saw Triumph Academy get one of the most important picks that they possibly could have gotten. They got Carry Happen down before we got the grab out, and they still weren't able to secure that fight. So now we talk about the importance of getting that point B with 7.7 seconds left earlier. Well, here's exactly why it's so important, right? Now you have the ability to actually go for some more points and equalize here, despite slipping up a little bit on your defense. You know that the 3-3 could be an option here now once you do go onto defense. Obviously, they're going to attack first, but Triumph Academy, you know, all the cards are on the table here for them. They know that they have to be really solid in their point A attack, and it looks like what they might do here right out of the gates is actually pull out the 3-3, and we might see a little bit of a mirror fight because of that time bank just getting so low. You don't really have the same chance of going for some of those, I guess, more DPS centric type compositions. You need to be really solid in the neutral engagements. Otherwise, you could see your chances dip away from you, and you won't have the opportunity to actually get those first points, or rather first ticks on the point.
I like the Ana choice on the defense too. I mean, Russian Cows, what can this guy not play? I was just saying how good his Roadhog was, and now sporting the Ana in this.
Was solid too.
Man, the ultimate flex right there. But now how these antis are going to play, he's going to be playing all the way at the back. So in Triumph Academy not playing the Winston 3-3, so not able to close that distance maybe with the backline or the supports. So it's going to be how they play these speed engages with Shin and Notori on that Lucio, and how Baboon is going to be keeping his shield up and timing his engages against a Winston.
You can see Winnable just playing off of Russian Cow's position, and they have also the Winston. You can see Bowie just charging up into his primal so quickly right now as he's already at 62%, and that could be a win condition for them very soon here as time is waning down to 20 seconds.
Yeah, the Triumph Academy waited for the boops and the cooldowns to be out, and then they sped in. So now this fight has to go their way, but without a Zarya, this can be tough. A little bit less damage mitigation. Fika needs to stay in mech too. Kobe just in time with a rally. The armor can't keep Baboon alive, who's about to have Shatter. Kaboom's also had Nano. Couldn't use it in time to save Baboon. So he's going to be giving it to Fika instead. The grab comes out for Carry. Self-destruct at the back will say good night to Triumph Academy on this attack.
The Winnable for winnable right now, right? I mean, we saw Bowie come through with the Primal Rage, and that was such a really smart pick for them, I think, because they knew that if they were able to at least delay the fight for about 30 seconds, and certainly an attacking side with only a minute is going to play a little bit more timidly. I mean, they're going to play a little bit more slower of an approach, right? Because they don't want to go in, lose the fight initially, then they had lost momentum, and now they've lost an economy, and they could actually just lose the fight right out of the gates there. So by going slower, you play a little bit towards the, pick potential of that 3-3 styling, where you basically just go ahead and look for any of those overextensions and then you punish. Well, what we did see was Bowie playing a little bit more of a defensively styled Winston, basically just farmed up his primal, and that became a win condition for them because that comes up so quick, and they weren't allowing Baboom to get a lot of cleave with so that he could get the shatter to deal with Bowie. Primal became a big tool for them to be able to secure that fight with, and that's exactly what they did. And with that space, you saw also Carry Havoc coming out with a Graviton that kind of saved the day for them as well. So now we'll see that 3-3 matchup. This time Baboon's going to be on the Winston here, so we'll have to see if Triumph Academy can basically emulate what we saw out of Winnable on their defense here. But 24 more seconds could very well determine Winnable having, another push or not.
Yeah, this could just be one long, slow-paced fight. This is just still not a lot of time, but they have to get this 33% if they want to at least force a game 5. Winnable towards the right side. Bubble already used. Baboon will have to disengage, focusing on that high ground. They get hooped off. Winnable. Zen versus Zen. Both teams relying on who can get that grab first, who can get the ultimate shatter. Bowie's getting displaced. He's under fire. Shield is broken. And that's not a good start for the attack, but they almost got their 33%.
Someone that you don't want to lose is your Zarya, and Carbon's down, so Carry Happa can just come alive here. And if Winnable isn't dealt with, or rather specifically Carry Happa isn't dealt with, you're going to see him getting that Graviton up. But again, you can see the benefit of having that extra little bit of time. Now they have 30 seconds. That means a second push, and you know that they already have the Transcendence. Kabooms is still coming back from respawn, so you can see Shiden Tori actually trying to ferry him back over to the point, and they need to get him in position quickly for this defense.
Oh, but that primal will be up. That'll be important, but also Transcendence. There's a lot of sustain from both sides. Winnable just that much closer to the grab because Carbon died early in that last engage. There's a couple seconds left. This is do or die for Winnable. Transcendence already used, although Ford could have just used self-destruct to get back into mech. Let's see if it gets kills. It still does. 2 supports out for Triumph Academy, who now have to use the primal to buy their team some time.
Winnable just trying to secure the last of those kills as they avoid Fika and his self-destruct, and that should be that. We will see control tick over to Winnable, and they will take that first tick, and along with it, this map. And again, we have a tied series, tied at 2-2, and we need a tiebreaker actually to get through this one.
Best of 5, going to game 5, baby. Winnable. That was close. Only having, that extra 24 seconds over Triumph Academy. We're looking so good on their defense. This is a tight series. This is for 3rd place. I can't even imagine how Grand Finals is going to go.
Yeah, remember too, the Grand Finals is actually a rematch of a recent Contenders match that happened, where we saw a draw that happened in that map, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, on Paris, where we saw them draw out. So on top of that, we saw Bermuda start out really, really solid early on. So, I mean, this is going to be a really solid matchup that we'll be moving into, but certainly to get started on a match like that, like this rather, is insane, because it's basically just going to carry over into our next series, where I imagine it's going to be just as hotly contested between those two teams as it is here between Triumph Academy and Winnable.
And what a map to send us into game 5. It will be Lijiang Tao, which could have maybe played similar to Mecha Base, if you will, on Busan, where I'm trying to remember. Either way, Winnable won 2-1 on that first map. And if we think back, I want to say it was Winnable that had a solid 3-2-1 with the Sombra. We'll see if that will come back, or who is really warmed up with their 3-3, or even some Maze that might come out. And of course, it will be Control Center that start us off.
Well, Control Center is probably the one map that might look vastly different than the others. Maybe Night Market looks a little bit similar, I guess, to the compositions that you're expecting to see. But, starting off on Control Center, again, like you said, this is something where we could expect, Maze to come out. And because of that, you could see that Clockwork type composition coming out, involving the Orisa, involving the Junkrat. to be able to play off of the Mei a little bit better. But on top of that, you could even see the 3-2-1 approach involving the solo Mei. You could have Sombra setups. You could have a lot of different looks, even just 2-2-2 splits that some teams have been pulling out, even in this meta. Again, this is a very diverse meta, despite what we've seen over the past year and a half. This right now, in this current snapshot, this moment right now, is a very diverse meta.
Of course. But it seems Control Center, the only spicy changes I've seen lately have been Maze and a Sombra. Although even some teams squeeze out a Pharah, but with the ceilings on this map can be pretty tough, especially if you lose that first fight, which the first fight could very well determine who can snowball this into 100-0. This map is so defensively favored, the first fight is going to matter so much. As players come out the doors, it's a Rhine 3-3 from Winnable and a Rhine 3-2-1 from Triumph Academy.
BZ Carbon going up top here. It's the 3-3 versus the 3-2-1. Sombra special for Triumph Academy. And with this high ground control, you're going to have to see Ford go up and contest that. And he will do just that. We'll have to pull Carbon away. He actually didn't see Carbon, just went behind the pole. So Carbon's going to be able to just go right back to where he was, actually falling down for the moment.
And because Baboon spent a little bit more time regenerating his shield, he had a bit of a better advantage in that second engage. Taking that extra time when Winnable didn't actually cap benefited Triumph Academy. Having a better shield meant Baboon could be more aggressive. So Winnable now lost that first fight, and Triumph Academy can benefit.
Yeah, and on top of that, they also have the ability, once the ultimates start rolling through, you're going to see this Sombra version of the 3-3, now the 3-2-1, obviously. Basically, it's just going to be so strong. It's so tough to deal with, and as soon as they get this EMP up, they can just win fight after fight without really even trying.
Good Shatter and Transcendence engage. We'll have to do it without a mech and without Bowie. Triumph Academy use a grab and a Transcendence of their own just to sustain. They've only lost their Reinhardt, so they'll have to disengage back towards the point. It's still a one fight for them, but Winnable... I mean, okay, well, Baboon is back, so Winnable can't hurry back. So now Triumph Academy can go up to the doorway and hold them there again.
I like the way that they rotated this. I mean, starting out, they had the EMP, but they knew that they wanted to build into a second grab. So they used the grab first. They now have the EMP. That's going to drop the shields, and Fika, with all this energy here that he's got, he's going to be able to just get his grab back really quickly as well.
They're going to lose that fight pretty quickly, too. EMP Shatter, Triumph Academy. Solid plays. Now alternating, you know, what is it? The grab last fight, the EMP Shatter this fight, 70%. Winnable coming, starting to get towards their final tries to get back this point.
Well, they have all of their support ults coming up here, Triumph Academy that is, and again, they're talking about trying to get that Graviton up quickly. Well, they might be able to buy enough time to do just that. Uh-oh,
there's a barrier to counter, barrier and Transcendence layer to counter the grab from Winnable. But now without a Reinhardt, Triumph Academy might have a harder time breaking through this doorway, especially with the Shatter self-destruct. Winnable now have to get back this point. Just a rally standing in their way. Winnable take it back. And this is what we talked about, how winning that first fight can get you such a lead. How about 99% Winnable? We're supposed to take this back, but then Kaboom stayed alive a little too long. So now Triumph Academy have a more winnable fight. It's a 2 versus 2. 4 doesn't count, he's a baby diva.
This is a fight where I feel like Triumph Academy, they want to pull out quickly. So finally they do just that. They know that they already have the grab, they already have the EMP. Those are the only ults that they realistically should need. They know that they already pulled out Momentum's sound barrier, so there's no defensive ult to deal with the EMP, especially if it's backed up by a Graviton. So that's a fight winner right there. You got to pull out of the fight. Don't give Carry Happen the opportunity, but there we go.
Grab versus grab, EMP from Triumph Academy. Winnable, have some things left in the tank. There's a nano to save Carry while he did get shattered, and it might not still save him. He's trying to run away. Triumph Academy are chasing. Getting those few couple kills, they'll get the flip. Winnable only accumulating 34%. Now they need to hurry back if they want a chance to contest this.
Defensive ultimates ready for Triumph Academy. Shatter not going to catch much. Only one person on the ground, and Transcendence going to save them for now.
There's one last fight for Winnable. They have 4 players up. Doomfist coming back. Bowie going for an aggressive charge. Finds Fika, but needs the resources. He's booped out of position and dealt with. It's not a great start for Winnable, who don't have a main tank. At least they killed the Baboon on the other side. Neither team have a Reinhardt, but Winnable just don't have the resources to keep this one going. Ford is living on 1 HP. Lucio's 1 HP. Triumph Academy with the nail in the coffin with that EMP barrier. This has to be over now.
They need to put some pressure onto the Ana. Russian Cows keeping the Diva alive under no duress, no pressure coming his way. Finally, we see the rotation happen, but still control for Triumph Academy with the Graviton there as well. They will secure this first round. It is tied at 2-2, so this advantage is huge. This is match point now for Triumph Academy.
That took a while. Winnable did contest for quite some time. Even at one point, you had Kabooms. I mean, that was a lost fight for Triumph Academy, and Kabooms got a bunch of kills on the Zen. So, still, once Triumph Academy won that fight, they were able to extend it to 99%, taking that momentum. Now we're here in the next round. We'll see if the compositions will switch up or not. It seems Triumph Academy like their Ryan 3-3 for the moment.
I was kind of hoping we would go to Gardens because that's a map where you could see the triple DPS, and maybe that isn't something that these teams want to go for given how this has progressed along. But Triumph Academy, I mean, they looked pretty solid in the triple DPS, so it wouldn't be crazy to see that come out in a map like Gardens. But for now, we'll be on Night Market, and we will see the Sombra in play for Winnable. So as they do go through, it's actually a swapped composition for both of these two teams.
Yeah, hacking Kobe at the start, bursting him down already. That's a great start for Winnable. Don't have that danger of the Brigida. Bowie can play a lot more aggressive with that, but they still have to find their entry into the point, and Triumph Academy have been holding at bay. Baboon is a little bit better at regenning his shield, hammering away. He'll have a healthier shield than Bowie, so Winnable, while they had lost one, they'll have to reset, or soft reset.
Now Kobe is back onto the point, so all 6 members of Triumph Academy holding out here, and they do have the benefit of this defense matrix from Fika, and he's going to mitigate some of this pressure, but there's an aggressive push.
Bowie charged in, but that allowed the shatter from Baboon to go through, and then the fight for Triumph.
Now we'll see Triumph Academy with yet another fight win, and Kaboom's actually coming out doing pretty well, I would say, on the Zenyatta here, pushing out a ton of damage, getting some picks for his team on the Zenyatta. Very safe in the backline right now, as Ford has a couple of times tried to work his way around there, but there's a Graviton down now for Triumph Academy.
Yeah, textbook plays from Triumph Academy. Grab at the front door, charging right through. Kaboom's with the 3K. Sure. Now Winnable, though. They at least saved up their ultimates to hopefully have a winnable fight.
Ford here with the EMP. 60% now the score line here for Triumph Academy, and they're going to need this EMP. And unfortunately, Winnable might actually need a little bit more than that as well. They might have to invest the Nano Boost and the Rally, and they do just that.
EMP catches a bunch, but Kabooms was able to have the Transcendence out, but it can't stop the shatter from Bowie. Playing so aggressive. They did get halted slightly from the self-destruct from Fika. And now without their Ana, without their Brig, Winnable have a lot less healing with only a Lucio, especially he's actually not even with the team. So Winnable missing a lot in the resource department. Triumph cushioning up with a barrier. They'll hold on to the point, it seems.
Yeah, they might actually win this fight too, as their supports are still alive, and nobody can kill Kabooms. So much support from Shadina Tori and Kobe both. You can see the armor on Kabooms now as well. No one's even going to be able to touch the point, I don't think. That's it. Triumph Academy secure it.
In a Game 5 fashion, congratulations to Triumph Academy taking that 3rd place at $500 in our Gamestop Match Arena Community Proving Grounds.
Very fitting there as well that Kabooms gets to play the game. And this is one of those opening fights that we had here where you can see him just getting the picks, and this is why he was able, you can see, I mean, they just got the flip onto the point, or rather got control of the point initially, and he already had his Transcendence at that point. He already had it. You can see how safe he was in that backline forward on the Sombra, not actually applying pressure to the backline in that last fight, or rather in that last round, where he was actually trying to really kind of put a lot of the focus onto the main tanks, just wasn't able to get the value that he was looking for. So Triumph Academy getting that 2-0, and then of course that leading into the finish of the 3-2.
As we pull up the bracket, just so you can see the journey Triumph Academy had, the 3-0 over Jaded. and then unfortunately losing to Bermuda in the semifinal to get themselves in the third place match against Winnable, who had a tough journey too. Game 5 win over SK, and then losing to Grunto 3-0. So still, congratulations to Triumph Academy, who have worked so hard to get here. And now they have some cash to enjoy themselves. And while we hope you're also enjoying yourselves at home, a big shout out to Matcherino and GameStop for providing the prize pool for this tournament, providing awesome educational content. If you guys go over to the GameStop website, they're having more esports related stuff. Getting with the times, not only can you buy awesome games from there, but now you can get your esports content, where they were working with the Houston Outlaws and others, where Matcherino was able to kind of crowdfund also some of this prize pool, where I'm not getting the finishing numbers quite at this second, but something like liking a post or retweeting something kind of added to the prize pool. So it was really awesome to work with Matcherino and GameStop and to have awesome tier 2, tier 3 tournaments like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Matcherino has been a very long-standing pillar, I would say, in Tier 3 Overwatch. I remember working with Matcherino years ago, pretty much back when the game actually first launched, when I was casting with someone else at the time. And RIP to the boy for that one.
No.
But you know, they've been actually they helped out with that tournament that I was doing back then, and they've been doing very consistent support, I would say, to the tier 3 community for quite some time. So to see them step things up in this fashion, because this is just such a big deal, I would say, for tier 3 specifically, and then involving a lot of these tier 2 teams as well, because remember, there are contenders level teams in this tournament, or rather in some cases there were, but you know, we'll see some of those coming out in the next phase that we'll see the next matchup. But to see these tier 3 teams show off that they can contend and they can do well against even some of those teams, and have Matcherino be able to provide alongside GameStop, that's really cool to see.
Yeah, and we just appreciate everyone also supporting tournaments like this. It's a long wait until open division, so these teams need something to do, and it's awesome to have tournaments like this to entertain us in the meanwhile. But speaking of entertaining, we have an amazing grand final. Speaking of contenders teams, Bermuda versus Grunto will be in our grand final. First place $3,000, second place $1,500. So money on the line, maybe some honor on the line. We'll send it to a quick break, and we will be back for the lobby for grand final. See you soon. It is time, everybody, for the grand finals. Get your claps ready. Get your PogChamps ready. We got Bermuda versus Grunto Esports. What is this, contenders? No, it is the Gamestop Matcherino Proving Grounds grand final for $3,000 for first place anyway. So that's a lot of money. Second place, what do we have? $1,500. Someone is walking away with a very healthy meal after this.
Yeah, we had, of course, this tournament started a little bit ago, but now being able to conclude it, certainly, I've been excited about it. Everybody's been excited about it, but we've been waiting to see these teams clash against each other. And this is interesting now as well, because we actually saw both of these teams play each other in contenders. Since you mentioned contenders, I'll bring that up. We did see these teams recently play against each other a few days ago even. And now this is effectively a rematch of what was kind of a close game at certain times. I mean, we saw Bermuda go up very early on Nepal to start things off in that matchup. We saw a drawn map that happened there as well until finally Grunto turned the match around and was able to win 2-1 in that 4-map set. Now, though, it's a best of 5. Draw won't get you the win if it goes 2-1, and you have to get the 3 maps to secure it here. And now that we do see Bermuda maybe seeing exactly how, of course, Grunto has played that last matchup, maybe they know a little bit more about what's going on here as well, and they can learn from that.
Oh, both Widows out of the picture. Unlucky. Speaking of the compositions, though, Bermuda running with a Sombra and a Pharah. So what's interesting is Shu has developed more away from it as a diva player and picking up more of the Sombra role, which his team needs. But with those first couple picks, Grunto were able to position their Orisa barrier onto the point, get that more immortality field up, have some initial control and pressure. Shane is away from the rest of the team, so he might be in some trouble. But Spectral, meanwhile, is popping up as one of the newer additions to Grunto.
So we can see, of course, Grunto getting early control now, and Spectral is a player to keep your eye on because this matchup between Spectral and Card is going to be huge. Two really, really solid Widowmakers. Carter, of course, known for the Widowmaker, especially in ranked play, but Spectral coming over, of course, his old name was Oni God, so you might have seen him on the likes of Toronto Esports if you only follow NA. Otherwise, you would certainly recognize Spectral in his name there, but very, very solid Widow player himself.
Yeah, I had such a brain boom when I heard that was Oni God. I was like, I know that name. Man, the player name switches really mess me up sometimes. But here's the EMP from Shu, getting most of Grunto. Now, doesn't seem like the rest of the team are ready to follow up as much. Meanwhile, Carter finding some initial shots, swapping back to the Hanzo earlier on, and a barrage on top of that. Ultima Web, cleaning up that front line of Grunto Esports. 60% Bermuda to get the flip.
So Rob Dab gonna go actually get hacked there. He was trying to go through and put some shield pressure down and sustain that point for a little longer, but he gets killed off. Great little hack from Shu there. As we're gonna see Bermuda getting control now. Pizza Demon holding on to the nano boost, and they're gonna absolutely need that for this next fight. Shane's gonna take some pressure almost assuredly, and perhaps they actually give it to Ultima Wep in the sky so that he can provide a little bit more pressure down the shooting lane that he has acquired for himself up top. Just looking for those picks, trying to put it in some suppressive fire.
And Zolik has to just play so safe, only healing his team basically as the solo heal. At least the Mei and the Roadhog can heal themselves, but Dragon towards the back left side from their perspective, trying to separate Shane from the rest. He does receive the nano, but he won't be able to live much longer, extending as much of the percentage points as he can. As the Pharmacy drops down from the sky, they did kill Zolik, which is the only healer of Grunto Esports, but with nobody left from Bermuda, it's still a one fight for Grunto.
Now Bermuda here just backing up. They know they have to just give control over to their opposition. Grunto just holding out here as they're waiting for their respawns. They know that the one they need most of all is, of course, going to be their healer. Zolik needs to get in there and provide some support to his team, get them healthy, allow them to stabilize here in this fight before this next contest happens from Bermuda.
A sick haul from Umte, also got Shabal, which is, by the way, Ajax on the Mercy, get killed immediately. And a barrage, though, kind of equalizes the score a bit. A 3-1 trade. But still, Grunto Esports missing in action. Flip again for Bermuda. 99% to Grunto. They only need to win that one fight.
Yeah, Shabal, as you said, Ajax, but, you know, he did this to himself. He came through, so now we just have to make up a story about Shabal instead. So instead of saying, oh yeah, by the way, Shabal is Ajax every single time, we're just going to say, this is a brand new player. Shabal got plucked out of
Ajax
comp.
got dropped.
You know, bright future for Shabal coming through for Ajax. Brand new to the team, brand new to Tier 3, Tier 2 Overwatch. Certainly excited to play alongside a lot of teams that he's been looking up to for so long, right?
Well, Grunto Esports still doing well. They did get EMP'd. They're able to use that immortality to survive for the moment. Having that Baptiste is able to buy them some a second life, if you will, against Sombras, but not going to be the case. They got completely wiped out. Bermuda hold on to the point. 82+%. We're coming down to the final fight, and Bermuda used quite a bit just to retake it.
So Shabal, in his first competitive showing, gets a nice little Mercy pistol kill.
Nice.
Already starting things off nicely, but you see Carter, he's actually gone over to the Hanzo. A lot more shield pressure here. Wub now starting this fight off with the Dragon Strike, actually throwing everybody off out from behind the shield. Maybe getting them a pick here, and does indeed get it.
Yeah, without a shield though, Grunto might suffer. They're going to try and use this Blizzard and follow up. They need to kill Pizza Demon. Oh, a Resurrect does go through for Shabal, brings back Ultima Web. Pretty dangerous player, but a 1v4, it's not going to last long. Grunto going to get the flip. Bermuda. Is there anyone there to contest? The answer is no. That first round, 100 to 99, will go to Grunto.
Yeah, a really close one there. A lot of great picks coming out at the end. You saw early on how Spectral was able to get the upper hand over Carter in a couple situations, and that gave them the advantage earlier. Then a swap happened. We saw it go back over 99 to 99 contest, and again, it was the pick potential between Spectral and Wub that allowed them to get control of that objective. And you can see how once this team does settle into this roster, because remember, this is kind of some new pieces that they're working with here. I mean, a lot of what you're used to seeing from the chicken contendies of old has departed, and now Grunto has kind of moved in this entirely new direction where I think, objectively speaking, this is a team that you can expect to have a high ceiling. I mean, a high ceiling with these players, specifically guys like Spectral and Wub, the DPS duo on this team. Very flexible, very lethal together as well.
Now it's Hammond versus Hammond from both sides. This is going to be quite chaotic because the way these DPS are going to play is just completely spread out. You're going to try and have the Sombras and the Tracers, or the Sombras and the Pharas, if you will, follow up on each other's poke damage initially, where Spectral wins the Widow War, so a lot more space and a lot more freedom is now granted to them.
So Umte, he's going to be on the Hammond. He's going to get hacked, and it's going to be this 3 DPS Hammond versus 3 DPS Hammond here, where it really could very well come down to the duels between Spectral and Carter once again. And Carter does already have a pick on the Mercy, and that's going to be huge because now no healing left, and you know Grunto cannot engage because of that. They have to wait for that if they can do that. Oh, nice little pick.
Umte's denying that high ground space. He's been hanging out on the top of that building, making sure Carter can't set up. And while Carter was kind of distracted by the ball, Spectral was able to find not only one pick, but two. So now meanwhile, Bermuda are going to try and fight back, but meanwhile, this is all time for Grunto Esports.
And you can see that we're having Bermuda in a position now where they need to try to create some kind of opportunity, some advantage. And every time they try to go for that, try to expose someone, they get picked every single time. It's not working out.
Mine's on the point for Bermuda. It gets them some space, but who can follow up on it? They need to get the flip eventually. There's not any takes going on. Both Hammonds focusing on distracting the Widowmakers. And Ultima Web is going to try and capture this point. There we go. Bermuda get the flip. Grunto Esports will reset.
Well, EMP is ready on both sides, but there's the flip now for Bermuda as they get control. And this is that scary moment where you now have Carter in a position where he can go up to the high ground. He's not going to be as contested by Umte right now. And certainly with this high ground advantage that he can obtain here if he goes up, which he's not going to go for right now, if he does go up, he'll have the ability to take those Widow duels a little bit safely. Might not even need no high ground. He takes Spectral out of the sky.
Yeah, Spectral is going for a jump and a hoppity and everything. And even taking care of Rob Dab, this fight is dead again for Grunto. Some time for Bermuda, but how they break out of this position, or how Grunto break out of this position is going to be important. Shane is denying that high ground, and Carter has so many more positions he can play line of sight against Spectral. So big advantage to Carter at the moment.
Yeah, this is a really safe position for him to take those kinds of shots from. He doesn't need that high ground. He knows that if he does go high ground, he's not going to be as easily supported by his teammates, and he's also going to be out kind of in the open, so that duel between him and Spectral is going to be kind of not really advantageous for him. It's going to be pretty 50-50.
And yeah, you see the mines were placed. They tried to go for a kill on the Pizza Demon, but Salty used the EMP to deny Shane. Carter winning again that Widow duel. As Grunto Esports are still up by 1, and now using the Valkyrie there, you can see that Zolik is trying to not only support the members on the point, but support the members going for the picks in the middle of the map, where it's highly chaotic. Bermuda taking a big lead at 80+%, and if Grunto don't win it here, if they don't flip it here, Bermuda could send us into a round 3.
Oh, Spectral down again. Carter has shut this player out. Spectral just can't get anything done at all. And maybe Bermuda with the chance here to get control once again.
Yeah, this has been highly about who wins the fight and also who gets control of the middle of the map, where you saw ever since Carter and friends did take the fight, Carter has way more space to play with. Grunto Esports, now they will take a lead shortly, and now Spectral gets to do what Carter did. He has a lot more positions that he can hide from. It's going to be harder for Carter to get that information as to where he is. And you can see Carter's actually not even focused on Spectral. He was trying to get picks onto the supports. And at 95+%, Grunto Esports ready with the EMP. Bermuda need to engage here.
And now Spectral is in a really good spot to have a great vantage point, but he has to get out of it as he exposed himself just a little bit. And he's moving over to the point where they can take him down. 2 picks already in favor of Bermuda.
Oh, and the supports from Grunto trying to hold it down onto the point against Hammond, and a Farmercy from Bermuda. You can see Shane is sleeping on the job at the second, but Grunto Esports still have time to come back, but they don't have a lot of members. They do have their supports alive, so a lot of the resources can be just given to Unte, and maybe even to Wub, who's going to try and put the team on his back. Bermuda need to flip it here, but they can't. Overtime is almost about to dwindle away in front of their eyes.
Now Ultima Web gets taken down as this fight has just gone back and forth, back and forth. Finally, it looks like Grunto is going to come out ahead, and with that, they could actually steal this map away.
Yeah, Grunto Esports had their supports alive longer, went after Bermuda supports. Mercy's dead. That was a quick, I wouldn't say quick, but a close first map between these two teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kind of quick. I mean, it went out 2-0, so relatively quick, I would say. But
the last overtime fight, though.
I'm just taking I would say that this is one of those matchups that you love to look at the match chat for, and it's a shame that nobody can see it but us. But at least we get the benefit, because it's always a good time when you have players like Unte and Carter in the chat talking back at each other. But either way, you know, that's going to be a 1-0 advantage to Grunto. Again, bringing up a little bit the contenders matchup that we saw just a few days ago. Grunto, they went out ahead 2-1 over Bermuda. Bermuda got the advantage early and eventually fell off after a drawn map as well. But Grunto getting the advantage here on the control map, this is a big deal for them, especially now that they've had a little bit more time to integrate players like Spectral into their system and into a lot of their compositions that they want to work with him in, especially when you have a player that is at that level of play, that caliber like Spectral, who's played on some really, really solid teams in the past. If you look down his resume, I mean, you're talking about some of the best in Western Overwatch that he's played alongside with. And in a lot of cases, he is the same way, right? But this is a player that I expect great things from. And again, a big reason why Grunto has such a high ceiling. And as they build to that, it's going to become a danger for teams like Bermuda.
And, well, while we wait for the next map, which Bermuda will be picking, as the losing team gets to pick the map, and then the winning team gets to pick the side. We're deciding on that for our map 2. It is a best of 5. We also have to talk about how thankful we are for Gamestop, because they've been around for so long. You remember waiting at midnight for your game release, and now you get to have your esports fix with them too. If you guys put !Matcherino, they're doing content with the Houston Outlaws, the Dallas Fuel, and you can help increase the prize pool. No, you do not have to give a single dollar out of your wallet. Because just doing things like liking and subscribing things on their website increases the prize pool. I think we're up by $80, if not more. And just for doing something like subscribing, which is little. So we will be announcing the final prize pool once this grand final is done. But !Matcherino, you'll get all the information you need.
Yeah, something to definitely take a look at is the GameStop website if you have the opportunity moment to do that. I mean, if you go over to the GameStop Performance Center website, you can check out all the content that they have, you know, tons of esports related content, but more specifically, back in June they actually had a clinic that as you mentioned already
Not
a
a
little
medical
bit.
one, but
Yeah, not a medical one, but like an Overwatch clinic to kind of educate, I would say, the masses. And they put some videos together. Specifically, wanted to mention that there was one that I remember specifically. I went through a couple of them back when they had the clinic back in June. There was one that I remember actually Jake did that has a lot of focus on shield trading, and I think a lot of people should give that one a look. There's a couple of other ones that are really solid as well, where you saw a lot of members and coaches of both of those two Texas Overwatch League teams get involved with and provide some of their insight, some of their knowledge. I remember Jane Tickety got involved in some of them as well as Boink, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely take a look at those if you have the opportunity, because there's a lot of good information on that website for sure. And that's not just a plug. That's actual thumbs up from me. The really good information
actual
from them.
Hurix approved thumbs up. Exclamation point Matcherino for my third time. We're still, I think we've decided on Blizzard World, and I think Grunto have decided to be on the defense. So I think we're ready to get into our second map. To remind everyone, it is a best of 5. First place for $3,000. Second place, I think I said $1,500. So still a lot of money on the line, and one of the bigger tournaments in terms of finances in quite a while.
So we do see we're of course going into Blizzard World, but something every time I cast Rob, I always kind of make mention. And I think it's more important now than it was when I mentioned it the last time, because I've only said this once. Is that way back in the day, way back in the day, when I was not casting yet, I thought I could still be a player. Obviously, that went terribly awry when I realized how bad I was.
Oh no.
We used to scrim this team. My team used to scrim this team a couple of times, maybe like once or twice. That team did feature Rob as well as Blase. Rob played McCree and a couple of other DPS picks, but primarily he played a lot of hit scan. And something the reason I'm bringing this up, and I think this is why it's so important right now, is the fact that Rob, for probably the first time in a very long time, you won't see him as often on some of these support picks. There's more opportunity now for him to play some of these DPS options because of the meta and the direction that we're getting taken into, where you can see him playing Hog, like you see him right now, and that's why I'm getting into this. You can see him on a couple of other different picks as well, where he could bring in some of that proficiency level that he has on some of those DPS picks, or at least he used to have, because together with Rob and Blase, who is of course on the Boston Uprising, very solid DPS duo, and a big reason why I had some headaches back in 2016.
Nice. Well, hopefully I don't get a headache from this match. That's all I gotta say. Because on the defense, we got Narissa, you know, the old pulled pork, the oink and yoink. I've heard a lot of interesting names for this. But still, now you have a Mei and 2 snipers. So the only healer here is Zolik. So you have to be careful about keeping him alive, making sure he doesn't get yoinked. For Bermuda's side, who are running a similar composition.
So we could see this very well go into just pure pick potential now, as we do see Bermuda. They've swapped over to that pretty standard single healer Clockwork Vendetta. I mean, this is kind of the vanilla approach to the CV composition at this point in time, at least. I mean, you have a ton of shield pressure now as well, and it really is just going to rely on Salty to put those walls up to buy Grunto time to get Umte's shield back up in time so that they can have the protection to be able to find some kills themselves.
That was dangerous. And we're going to halt it up. We haven't seen too many hooks followed through. Another halt. Hook missed. Grunto Esports still stabilizing, and Mei up into the air. There's the first amplification matrix from Zolik. A little extra shield break. You can see Bermuda playing out of line of sight, rotating towards the right side of their perspective. And now it's their turn for the amplification matrix.
And they're going to be pushing into the point along with it. Carter already found 2 kills. He's going to unleash the Dragon Strike, but they might not even need it here, as he's going to take the duel yet again. Spectral under fire.
Oh, but Bermuda have made camp onto this point. It's impossible for Grunto to take this back at this point. It's all about patience when you have these Orisa and these Roadhogs waiting for the right hook and the right yoink and the right sniper shot, and got Bermuda to the point.
Bermuda backed by this Hanzo and Carter. He already utilized his first Dragon Strike, so obviously very far ahead of Wub in terms of ultimate generation right now, and that's going to be important because that Dragon Strike could actually spill fight wins for them. Luckily for Grunto, they're bought some time and an advantage here early as he gets yet another 2 picks for Spectral.
Okay. Okay, Spectral. He's going to be on that high ground along with Wub. And Bermuda. It's going to be tough to break through such a tight choke point. And especially when dragons are coming through from Wub, the right halt can make this a really deadly combination.
Spectral just looking for that vertical approach, trying to look for a pick, and you can see the halt hook combinations coming out between Umte and Robdab as they're looking for just the same at the front line. Halted the payload here on this corner, and now the Blizzard's out as well.
They even halted them all and took care of the immortality field. The first dragon from Wub didn't find any picks, but the Blizzard is what was deadly. But at least for Bermuda, they don't have to worry about that ultimate for the next fight, and they'll have their own Blizzard to fight back.
The Grunta holding on here. They have, I mean, yeah, they have tons of ultimates defensively that they can use to push off that Blizzard that you talk about from Guru. And as they approach this corner, they have to make sure that they watch out for those halt hooks, and luckily the wall was there to save them this time around, but everything available here coming up for Bermuda as they need to round this corner.
Oh, a dragon gets some space. Oh, Robdab got hooked right into it, and he's frozen. The immortality field only bought him a few more seconds, but great combinations from Bermuda. They even have the molten core, but they've taken care of Grunto. Can even chase after Zolik while he's exposed, because that would be even more of a painful stagger.
We'll see Ultimate Web hanging out. I mean, he has his Molten Core available, but so far they haven't needed it. The payload has kind of stopped being pushed, at least for the time being, but finally Bermuda gets control as Ultimate Web's turret has closed the fight out. And that's the benefit of the 7th man.
Yeah, that turret. Sure, but hey, Shabal. She dead though, because that was a great hook from Grunto. Now without that healer, Bermuda might suffer in the resource department for the moment. So you can see they're just waiting this one out.
And Bermuda, yeah, they're going to be falling over quickly here, but you can see Salty coming up here. Blizzard, that's going to be something that they want to play off of, as Guru is only 40% right now. Grunto, that can slow the fight, certainly win the fight along with it, and take another 30-40 seconds off the clock in doing so.
Yeah, are they gonna want to take Grunto off this high ground? They would want to just set up the halt and hook. It's a little bit more difficult when they're on the high ground, but having to work through all the space again, Molten Core, right over the top, more of like a lucky shoot. See if someone accidentally falls into it. Also protecting themselves. Not doing much with that though. Just Bermuda. It's kind of always a little bit slow, right? With the Orisa, you have to keep setting up your shields. Not like a Reinhardt where you can walk forward. But there's a Blizzard from, I think it was Salty, just jumps right into the team. Immortality field from Bermuda. The Dragon followed up from Grunto. Great setup. A little risky from Salty, but I like it.
Now we'll see Umte. He's gone forward, but look at all of this. I mean, we see, of course, the Blizzard working out in their favor, but they utilized the Dragon Strike along with it. They needed to kill the Immortality field, so they weren't able to be as lethal initially. You know, that front-loaded pressure wasn't exactly there for them. Now, Bermuda, with 50 seconds left, they have maybe 2 more fights that they have to win, even still. So they have to take the high ground in order to do that, and they have the Dragon Strike, but they need to get kills with it immediately.
How did Pizza Demon... Oh, never mind. He didn't survive that one. But the whole hog from Grunto to not only guarantee that kill, but to just dislodge Bermuda from this high ground, which seems to be their objective, to fight Grunto off of it. But in the last 30 seconds, they just don't have the time to invest into that anymore.
Now Bermuda only 1 more shot here, and again, still, because this payload has been pushing back, you can see the distance that they need to cover even still on this objective. They have to win 2 fights in overtime now. So this pick between the Widows here is going to be everything. If they can shut down Spectral, that might be what they need, and they get the pick.
That's good. Bermuda, though, they need to touch this car, and they got walled up from Salty. I hate to see it. Oh, no.
So that is a very unfortunate stop there for them, I would say. But hey, they got 85.5 meters there after the first objective, so something to work with a little bit. Just walled off, so not able to get a touch in at the last second. Maybe they would have been able to push a little bit further, but getting that second objective locked down, I think, was that would definitely be a stretch given the respawn time that we see the defense having and being able to come in with. They would have had Spectre coming up. It's tough to say if they would have been able to do much with that.
Yeah. But I guess the wall call should have been out, and they were trying to do that rotation to avoid any poke damage, avoid any picks, and then maybe thought they could squeeze out one member through the wall to touch the card. I think I saw maybe Carter at the back of the card who was trying to do so. But how slow-paced both these compositions kind of entail, I'm not surprised the card didn't go far.
This is where things get dangerous, right? This is exactly where things get dangerous, because we already saw how Grunto, they got ahead early, obviously, but to be able to make a stop like that, now you see their win conditions set so early on in the attacking phase that, I mean, really, Bermuda's going to have to play lights out just to stay in this map. And in doing so, I mean, if they aren't able to win out here on Blizzard World, if they give this one up, it'll be match point, and they'll have to go for a full reverse sweep to stay in this one and be able to claim that prize that, certainly I would imagine everybody's kind of salivating over, right? I mean, $3,000 for first place and being able to split that with your teammates, that's a good chunk of change.
It's a lot of chicken nuggets, I gotta say. That's one thing I'm thinking about right now, but Grunto Esports disregard on this attack. Still with their usual composition. Again, the danger of running that solo heal. Zolik hasn't been picked though, so I'm not overly concerned. But the same thing can be said about Shabal or Ajax, who immediately gets hooked. Use that immortality field to save himself, though.
So we will see Wub actually trying to back up and play that off angle with his teammates. And if they could get some kills, they will have respawn advantage. Look at this, over the top, behind the shield. Nobody can deal with Wub and his movement. Oh,
until now. You definitely cursed it. I blame you. But so far, lights out so far for Bermuda, who have 3 minutes to hold this. And Grunto Esports, they might just be coming up to getting that Blizzard online. Just closing the gap, running into them with Blizzard and see what you can do. Or Lucky Halt Hook, which we've seen have some effect, but because of the they wait for Immortality Field, usually they're able to save the player that is hooked.
They round the corner, they have the Ant Matrix, and they're getting the kills, and with all this time that they have left, they also get Carter. How is Carter able to kill Zolik there? What?
Well, perfect, because now Grunto Esports got the point. And it's all about these Widows finding these funny angles. That's how you make the plays. But Grunto Esports now want to fight on this high ground. Bermuda just about ready to get set up. Wub on this high ground has Dragon, and he could easily throw it up there to just get Bermuda to drop, or they just have to get hopefully go around it, but they're in the narrow part of the high ground at the moment.
This is the toughest part to get through, and it's been this way for some time now. This corner, this natural choke that you have to work your way through, especially when you're playing bunker versus bunker effectively, right? Orisa versus Orisa. This is very difficult to push on through. You have to have a lot of shield pressure to break things down or find some kind of win condition to push around this choke, get around the corner, and steal away maybe even the high ground control that we're seeing Bermuda playing off of right here. This is making it even tougher, but when you're playing this high ground, this allows for a rotation opportunity here, and Grunto are taking full advantage of it. Now on the payload, this is going to force Shane and the rest of Bermuda to go around, and they're walled off yet again.
They'll break through it at the moment. Supercharger from the defense. Wasn't able to save Ultima Web. First Immortality Field from Grunto Esports. What a hook to get Pizza Demon down, and that's a long walk back, and they got the Mei freezing him. Whole hog from Grunto Esports. That box of victories around the corner. You got a Blizzard on the field. Bermuda needs a drop, but they're just immediately gonna die. Grunto Esports planning their ultimates perfectly. Bermuda's still in this though, because now Grunto Esports don't have a main shield. He's not the leftover shield, so not a provider at the moment. And Grunto Esports still have 3 players left against 3 players of Bermuda, who are slowly falling apart.
Oh, the Hammond swap's coming in now, and Rob, huge plays from him, potentially, if he can get his take a breather, but it's saved by the Immortality, and he's still online. And along with that, Blizzard World goes the way of Grunto. Big plays at the end there. Rob Dab helping to secure that one at the end by not only getting a pick with the left click, but also shutting down the whole hog that came out from his opposition with the hook and setting up the pick for his team as well.
Yeah, Salty has been really impressing me on this Mei. He's really aggressive with it too. He almost front lines as this player, throws the Blizzard so far deep into Bermuda, and has been getting a lot more value out of it. And not only that, the walls to deny line of sight from Bermuda, and then the hooks from Grunto to get Pizza Demon out from that high ground was the start of success for them.
Yeah, I remember even back when we first started seeing Salty. I mean, it was like right at the beginning of the year, right? And we were both talking, I remember, going into some of these matches.
I'm trying to remember.
Maybe TFC. If not, we're talking open division at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
It was one of those phases, right? But back then we were looking at Salty and we're like, you know what? Salty's great. Like Salty looks great back on Chicken Contendies. This is certainly a standout player. We were talking about some of the things that they were doing, and Salty has definitely stood out, I think, from the first time that we saw him, and he's only gotten better and only shown us that he has even more versatility than we even initially expected, because at first we only saw that he was a great diva player. Now we're seeing different variations of what he can do.
Yeah, I definitely remember saying in TFC that Salty and one other diva player, which name escapes me, were one of my favorites of the tournament, of maybe undiscovered, or let's say just kind of coming out of talent. It was really great to see him in TFC, and now doing just that, is kind of flexing the different roles, where we said the same thing about Shu, where an amazing diva player, but now has been playing more somber and picking up other roles which the team needs, and filling those have been great.
Yeah, I remember we definitely saw quite a bit of those two players specifically, but I can't. I'm trying to remember as well who you're talking about, because I do remember exactly what. Yeah, there was definitely someone that we were thinking about, and I know that Mirage Sport was rocking Fika at that time, and Fika has been solid, but I can't think. I don't think that was the player that we were thinking. Oh, it was Shu.
Oh, maybe it was Shu.
It was
I
Shu.
don't know why.
It was Shu.
Maybe because I butchered it and called it Shu for the longest time. But anyway, while we get our brains all wrinkled up, we're gonna go to a halftime break where Escort, I believe, will be our next map. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, everybody, to the grand final between Bermuda and Grunto Esports for the Gamestop Matcherino Proving Grounds. First place, $3,000, $1,500 for second. So far, Grunto Esports looking like their wallet just might be that much fatter in the map.
And this is an interesting pick, I think, for Bermuda specifically because this is the map that ended things in the decider for the contenders matchup that they had just a couple days ago. I mean, we saw the full hold happen here. Bermuda was unable to get anything going on their attack. Maybe they figured some other kind of way to get through and find a way to actually get some points on the board for themselves to get through Rialto here, as Grunto won 1-0 last time around. Maybe they can rekindle that a little bit and see if they can close this out and make this a clean 3-0 sweep in the grand final. Certainly it hasn't seemed like it has been as insanely close as we saw our third place match, but there have been certainly a lot of moments, you know, can't say otherwise, right?
Yeah, there has been moments, some here, some
moments
there.
have happened. Yeah.
But I might have, moments have happened indeed. I feel like I cursed it because I was like, man, this third place is hype. We got game 5. And now we're up 2-0 for Grunto Esports. So, I mean, still happy for whoever wins, but Bermuda needs to fight back, need to force the reverse sweep, maybe even a 4th map if you're feeling spicy. Well, let's start with the defense of Grunto Esports, who are running their usual double sniper, halt and hook with a May.
So Grunto holding this corner down. This is how they like to do this. Very aggressive. As you see anybody try to go through the bridge, they're just going to get halted and, well, at least attempted to be halted and get thrown off the point. But now that they back up to this corner, that option is gone and a new option arises. And that is with the halt hook combo. Spectral securing a kill there for them off of it.
Yeah, so deadly. Halting them up in the air, either hooking them or having your snipers follow up. And you can see Rob Dab playing way more aggressive onto the car, even past the shield, looking for more hooks. But the mortality field used early. Bermuda can maybe engage off of this, as that cooldown does take quite a while to get back.
You can see some swaps being made, but this is where it just gets so difficult. If you're not able to get in and get a good angle, Ultimate Weapon, I mean, he's completely unresable here. Now he has to wonder, you know, is this something that's going to work out? You know, they have to put some kind of pressure onto Spectral, otherwise he's going to be able to easily get these kills onto the Pharah player as he's just exposed in the air like this.
Yeah, now rotating towards the high ground. Bermuda might have a better advantage here looking for hooks, but they have to deal with the May wall from Salty, who kind of did something similar back on Blizzard World. For a 1-to-1 trade at the moment, no immortality field for the defense. Bermuda getting up onto ultimates, and maybe this high ground will be good for Carter once he gets that Deadeye.
Still holding up here, and now high ground, of course, taken by Bermuda, but they have to be able to push a little bit more forward than this. So with this high ground that they have, this positioning that they've acquired, they now need to go for some picks, and it's just not working out for them. This looks a lot like the contenders matchup so far.
Halt hook, spicy from Grunto, especially if you can get Shane. No shield, you just don't want to fight that if you're Bermuda. Now Carter almost was at the Deadeye, now going back to the Widow, knows that the Widow matchup is just as important here as it was on Busan.
Yuta now, only with 1 minute and 40 left, as Pizza Demon goes over to Roadhog. Now they have the halt hook themselves, the oink and yoink, as it's now been more or less officially dubbed.
There's a blizzard from the defense, and he throws it so far and combines it with the wall so they can't even run away from it. The winning conditions so set for Grunto Esports, where it's just been lights out at the moment. And Bermuda, like, coming up on some ultimates, but how they're going to execute this, I'm still questioning.
Yeah, how are you going to be able to put Ultimate Weapon in a position where he can actually safely barrage? Because you don't have... Oh, I guess you have the defense matrix that could potentially just spotlight him, as it at least it used to be called.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, even then, you could still defense matrix.
Oh, no!
Certainly going to be a lot harder now that you don't even have the Widow pressure. That presence of the sniper isn't even existing anymore.
Oh, and a halt hook to get Shane again. They're a bit of a barrage too for one trade. It's still a far walk from Grunto, but you don't have a lot of time for Bermuda. Carter tried to go for that jump shot earlier, and Spectral found him right away. It's so hard for a Widow on this particular point of the map to find any line of sight. You saw Bermuda try to go on the high ground. That wasn't getting much progress, much pressure, and Spectral has so much room to play with. So Bermuda, 20 seconds left.
Oh, from the bridge, maybe? Carter, from that spawn bridge, was able to get an angle on the side and weaken some of those targets. Ultimate Web was able to secure them, and now Bermuda cleaning up.
Ultimate Web's like, I am the front line now. Look at me. Already he's got 2 kills. And getting that barrage trade earlier on still might have got them some space, because Grunto had to disengage a little bit because I think that got Solik, and that's their only healer at the moment. Now with some vision, Grunto Esports will try and get back this spot. Point A in overtime. Bermuda up by 1. And there is a self-destruct at the back, and it finds Spectral. That'll win the Whittle duel for ya. But Blizzard on the point. Bermuda have to be careful. Keep Shane alive. He doesn't seem affected at the moment, so that will be point A for them.
They have to get through this Mei stall first, though, and that's a way to do it. Carter somehow gets that flick onto Salty's dome. He goes down. Bermuda, they're not going to be stopped at point A this time around. They're actually going to get points on the board here and surge forward, see what else they can get.
Oh, that got a little too close for comfort, though. Overtime. Whew. Bermuda want to do better, especially on Blizzard World. Again, it took them so much time to get that far on that map. Have to do the same thing here, but faster. It's 2 minutes and 10. Getting around this choke point, where I think Ultimate Web has to be the one who initiates here. That was the one who really started the momentum for the team.
And Carter was huge for them already, as well. As Spectral goes down, that's just better shot for Carter. He doesn't have to worry about the duel. He can just start taking pot shots, and he's going to do just that. He's going to secure the kill onto Robdab, just a body shot to get that one locked down, but still need a couple more to move this payload forward.
Yeah, Robdab was trying to go for a whole hog. It's kind of a little dangerous to do that ultimate because you can't heal during that. But Bermuda pushing forward. They'll have one last fight for point B, and maybe momentum is all they needed. A little bit of space, a little bit of momentum, a little bit of confidence. Grunto Esports, though, they're coming back. They'll be missing Wub for the moment, and also Salty. Barrage from the sky gets hooked. Ultimate Web survives somehow. Until now.
Spectral's getting some kills, but he's actually cleverly positioned himself where he can't be shot by Carter. Carter had the vision on him. It was just line of sighted away, but fortunately the rest of his team died, so Spectral couldn't really do much with that positioning that he was in. Now 2.5 minutes left as Bermuda, after being held to overtime and almost lost point A entirely, just like they did in Contenders, they're now working their way through with a good amount of time into this last phase of the map here. Now just getting into position where we see a full swap actually coming out from Grunto, and now have to take a neutral engagement with a 3-3 comp. Rob actually on the Moira here to prevent some of this pressure, mitigate some of that with some exceptional healing power that he's got on the Moira kit.
Oh, Grunto Esports now utilizing the speed to just run into Bermuda. And you wanting to do exactly that, deny that space, where Pizza Demon's gonna deny them right back with a whole hog. This breaks the shield of Bumte. And now they're stuck a little bit up there, but Bermuda kind of ignore them for the moment. But now Bermuda have lost their main shield, they've lost their Mercy. This is not a fight they want to take, and maybe considering some compositional changes too.
Yeah, that'd be something that you definitely have to start thinking about at the moment. Especially once you see Grunto making these swaps where they go over to 3-3, especially considering that they have the Moira in play as well. With that Coalescence available, that's going to be something that Ultimate Web has to start thinking about, because while it might not make sense on paper that a Moira is going to be able to contest a Pharah, with that Coalescence, certainly you're going to be able to get it often, given the amount of healing that you're doing to prevent some of that pressure from the Pharah. You can coalesce onto Ultimate Web and actually put some pressure on him.
And that Coalescence is allowing exactly that, Umte to be aggressive. Barrage from Ultima Web thought maybe Grunto Esports was going to break through that. They kind of disengage for the moment, wait for the self-destruct from Guru to do his thing. Umte somehow falls to that, and now without a main shield, Grunto Esports might suffer a little bit. So much damage coming in from Ultima Web. As a grab thrown out to keep Bermuda at bay, and somehow Grunto Esports have held despite losing their Reinhardt early.
So much sustain in this composition. I mean, again, a lot of this pressure is chip damage. Other than Carter coming in and whipping someone into a wall with his fist, there's really no instant burst potential. So a lot of that damage is easily being mitigated by the healing potential between Wub and Rob and Zalek all together. And as they get their ultimates up, that's just even more sustained. Wub was able to use the rally in the last fight, and that gave them that much more healing.
But now that you have an Ana, well, Bermuda had an Ana, an Anti could also shut down the value that Rob Dad provides, which is going to have another Coalescence. Self-destruct at the back. Barrier used from Grunto Esports. It's lights out already. Bermuda will not be able to finish the map.
But a lot further than they got the last time around that these two teams played on this map specifically. Again, it was just a few days ago, and able to make that kind of adjustment and go through. Again, it was very close. On the first point, we did see it go over to overtime, but they made their way through, made the adjustments that they needed to make, and some clever positioning initially from Carter, starting off at that spawn bridge and then softening some of those targets up. So Ultimate Web just had to land one splash or a direct here, whatever. Really made things easy for them to be able to push through and gain momentum early. With that, they did plenty. Now, defending for themselves, we'll have to see what they're capable of. We haven't even seen this team do much outside of, defending that first objective between these two teams. As of, again, they got full held, right? So we'll have to see what they can accomplish. Maybe they can get a full hold themselves. We know Carter is really strong in these situations, whether it be with the Widowmaker that we've seen a lot of, or even potentially an Ashe that we saw in our third place match. That's a plausible thing to pull out here.
Yeah, Ashe for more of that medium range, but I'm thinking, like, in the Widow matchup, it's been so close between the two of Spectral and Carter, where I feel like Spectral was maybe just that much better because of the map he had to play with, right? He had so much room, so many different positions to take. Carter, his only line of sight was to go through main or do a big hoppity, and that's where even Spectral got him there too. So now that Carter can be in the driver's seat in terms of positioning, in terms of room to play with, this could be the exact same thing where Grunto might struggle to get through this point if Carter can pop off.
Something we also saw was Ashe last time they played this map as well, and I believe, or not this map, rather on Hansa, or on Hollywood rather. What's going on with my brain? We did see some Ashe played by Grunto. And I believe actually back on Rialto, we saw the 3 DPS attack from Bermuda. So they haven't played that this time around. Instead, of course, they played their Orisa Hog setup, playing off the snipers. And we're going to see that matchup happening yet again, as just a couple of days can make a big difference in terms of what these teams want to play and what they've been practicing on. Just a few days difference, massive compositional changes.
But the difference between these two teams, too, is the Mei versus the Forest. Salty's been quite an aggressive Mei, trying to divide these players. Look, he's even frontlining, chasing after an Orisa and a Roadhog as a Mei. And because of that, he's frozen Guru. At least he's got a Mercy pocket on him. Shane was able to get resurrected, too, which is a big play from Ajax. But despite that, Spectral still got a 2K, won that Widow duel, and Grunto Esports can move forward.
And still that frontline presence from Salty is something to really consider trying to find a way around if you're Bermuda, right? Because every time, you said it already, Salty is just in the front line. I mean, he's literally in front of the shield right now. He's in front of his shield going forward and is applying so much pressure. How do you deal with it?
Now Bermuda have to throw their bodies onto the card just to contest. The Resurrect was used to get Shane. A nice barrage used at least in the defense, but now the wall has been placed and Shane is divided or separated from the rest of the team. Whole hog use in conjunction with that wall seals the deal. Grunto Esports get point A.
So much time to work with as well, and if momentum is something to consider, well, they could very well have a lot of time to push through that final objective with, because they have the Blizzard coming up for Salty. They have a lot of ability with Wub and Umte as well, where they could push out a ton of damage coming around this corner, and they could win a fight very easily, secure the objective off of just one fight win in this whole section of this map, and have over 5 minutes to push into third with.
And Web versus Ultima Web. And the Hulk's kind of displacing the Forest too. They have to be careful. Supercharger into effect now. But Bermuda have the high ground. Nano given to Ultima Web. Doesn't have barrage, but these rockets still deadly when they hit directly.
And Ultima Web not able to do enough with that at the moment, but it does give him some ult charge. They need to get closer to that barrage, and he is nearing at 95% at the moment, and they have a pick in their favor.
Wub is out, resurrected back in. Carter takes advantage by finding a second kill. And this is what we talked about. Give Widow space, give Widow the right map, and they can pop off. And Carter's doing exactly that, controlling the area and also controlling the way Grunto Esports have to position when he's in the right spot. So Grunto Esports stuck in a bad spot at the moment.
Oh, Robdab trying to keep the dream alive. Got the initial pick and then followed up with a second. He gets killed, but maybe some space created for the rest of his team as the Blizzard does go down. Doesn't catch anyone.
Both Mercies rezzing people in front of each other's eyes. Somehow Grunto Esports, on the back of the few kills that Robdab got, kind of equalize the score. Is doing just that as what with the barrage. Quite chaotic from both teams. I don't even think either team knew if it was winnable or not, but they still went for it. Grunto Esports approaching the point B. Approaching point B, and Bermuda could have one last contest, but they're not close enough.
Yeah, Shane was not in position. It's a little tough to get back when you're on the Orisa, right? Little tough. Takes a while, but gonna be a quick swap here from Grunto. They recognize that this composition isn't the one to go forward with into that last stage. And this is a really, really good swap from them, knowing this ahead of time, because Bermuda, they're gonna be slow to make the adjustment. And you'll see the Mora come out from Robdab again here. And if they play this right, they could stampede through and get ultimate advantage.
Shane is just stuck up there, but at least he got protected from the barrage from Ultima Web as Grunto Esports tried to run up there. Yeah, there's an issue when you have a Lucio-based team like Grunto and Bermuda, who were playing quite far forward despite needing to play at a distance, especially with an Orisa versus Rhine.
Need to find a way to put some pressure on the Ultima Web or just force the ground fight very quickly, as they're just going to go up to the high ground. They're just jumping in onto Shane's, trying to see if they can run down the Orisa.
Oh, and Ultima Web is just funneling rockets into here, making it so hard for Umte to close that gap between his team and Shane. But the Supercharger is going to dwindle away. There's Grunto Esports ready with their cooldowns. Coalescence leading the way. Still so much time. Bermuda going to use that Nano Ultima Web, benefiting from that self-destruct too. Bermuda in the driver's seat. Grunto Esports have to reset.
They're staying on this comp. Ultima Web just having so much value. This is ideally, I mean, this is kind of something that Grunto wants to play into, and they're going to be able to succeed. But the thing that they may not have accounted for is the fact that Ultima Web, with all of his levels of experience, I mean, we're talking about going all the way back to the one-shot days, back in game launch and even beta. This guy's been playing Pharah forever. He's so good at it.
Grunto Esports from the high ground, and actually Umte separated away from the rest of the team. He just wants to kill Shane so bad, but he's got the pocket of the Valkyrie, so it's been almost impossible to kill Shane when he's got the peel of not only his supports, but Ultima Web, who's been barraging to protect Shane constantly. Finally, both will fall, and Grunto looking down the barrel and that yellow box of victory right around the corner.
Now it's going to be a delayed contest, a stall opportunity here as Carter rounds the corner, needs to get the Deadeye kills.
Self-destruct at the back. The yellow box of victory is there. If Grunto Esports get there, it will be the 3-0 in this best of 5 grand finals. Salty gets a very important healer. Shabal can't really go for that resurrect. He has to help the rest of his team stay alive. The final grab is thrown out from Spectral, but Bermuda are still able to contest due to the Hammond of Guru. But now that everyone is gone, can anyone help Guru on this card? Grunto are playing together. They're playing perfectly. They've used every ultimate though, and they will push that cart to the end, and Grunto Esports will take that 3-0 victory in this grand final.
So a 2-1 with a draw just a few days ago, and already you can see the difference a couple of days makes. 3-0 clean sweep coming out there for Grunto, but again, some good plays nonetheless from Bermuda. They were able to make their way into this second place matchup, I believe just yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So they of course made it through on what is